Hello, everybody, and welcome to Eberron, Chapter 4, Eye of the Storm. Lhazaar, I'm not going to ask how your week is. I always forget. Don't ask you guys. You don't give good answers. So,
I actually had a good week this week.
I've had a great week.
You know, it's only when I say that you have good weeks.
Sure. But you always say that now.
Well, there.
Yeah. We live.
Oh,
We live
fine.
in the
Keep
dark.
saying it, then I'll keep having a good week then.
All right,
I
well,
didn't
We
have
live in a
so
dark
that
and
doesn't
shitty
work
world,
for me.
Scott. I'll tell you.
if my assumption is for you to have a bad week and it makes you have a good week, I'll keep assuming. So,
All right.
Eric, why don't you remind us what happened last session? You can probably sum it up pretty quickly, but why don't you explain what happened last session for everyone? By everyone, I mean Will. He wasn't here.
So the Thorian had taken over the ship, essentially the flying ship that we had stolen, and so we decided to just blow that fucker up out of the sky by destroying the ring and essentially summoning the fire elemental inside of it. And after doing that and convincing the fire elemental, hey, don't destroy us, and it destroyed the Thorian, thankfully. That was pretty nice. The people of Atherport, was it Atherport that we were at?
Yes.
Thank you. I keep confusing the names of the towns, but the people of Atherport were pretty much like, hey, we're gonna bribe you so you go away. They gave us 10,000 gold pieces to leave because we were too adventuring. And so we took that plus some of the supplies that were floating in the middle of the water. So we lost our flying ship, unfortunately, but we still have our sailing ship, and we have a bunch of nice, comatose bodies of people who were
They
previously
can
taken
do
by the
menial tasks.
But, yes, but still.
Correction.
So we were able to save one person who was recently infected by Ollie killing him through stabbery and then bringing him back to life, and so that was interesting. But now we're headed towards the Principalities, particularly the port. Aaron, what's the name of the port?
Last point.
Last point.
Last Point. Thank you. We're headed to Last Point at this time to try to speak to the changelings, as that's what's next on our docket. And a trip that was supposed to be one little side thing for me that was only supposed to take a little bit. We're almost there, guys. 14 sessions later, we're almost there.
Ollie just had to see that tree door thing. He just had to see it.
Right?
Goddamn tree door.
Yep.
Get you every time.
Yep. It was literally that thing derailed, so it was a side quest that derailed hard. So much harder. It was so funny.
And then Will had to go and die. Rip Luca.
We're not suspicious about changelings anymore. We're trying to make friends with them now. We're suspicious about trees and brain people.
I feel like we have a fair reason to be suspicious of those things.
Of the brain people, yeah.
And I'm sure there was a fair reason with the changelings before. So
There was.
yeah. All right. So moving on. You guys broke through the storm. Realized how flippity flopping far south you were, and I believe it was 10 days or whatever to sail north to finally get where you needed to go. So that sailing north and working to do so was going to be a gap of time, and you guys understood that, and that was all good and well and fine and stuff. So, Aaron, I believe there were conversations that you wanted to have with particular people during that little gap of time. Which conversations did you want to have with who? I believe Reich was one of them. I believe Reich was one of them.
Which you are referring. Reich is definitely one of them.
Yeah, because of the what his job is going to be here, and I think you also wanted to speak with N. Though with N, you pretty much N was like, "I'm going to take you to a cave, and we're going to do the best we can from there."
Yeah, essentially. And I'm going to leave it at that, to be honest, because I don't want to compromise N's position with their group any more than I already have. So we'll talk to Reich. Reich and I have already had a discussion wherein I said I needed him, and that I wanted allies. So I'm going to revisit that conversation with him and see what he has come up with.
So what do you say to me particularly?
So, Reich, how are we going to convince the changelings to give us information in return for our information?
Have you figured out what they want yet?
No, I don't know what Lyrandar is doing in the Principalities. And
Then what did you expect me to accomplish in this time?
I don't know.
Given that I have no information. Well,
so here's what I think we should do. I think we should offer them the information we have from Dean. I think we should offer them the information that N has already decoded first about the lamps to prove that it is valid, and hold on the rest for later bargaining.
I think
Information
that,
up front and a show of good faith.
well, we're gonna need to show more than good faith. We've killed one of their members, and have showed nothing but contempt for them before now. Plus, you're a member of House Lyrandar, which, as far as we're aware, are currently oppressing them. So I feel like we're gonna need to show them more than good faith.
We need more. So what do you suggest?
Well, the only thing I can think of is, you said they're probably having trouble with food.
Yeah.
I know pirates are an issue around this area. And usually, in my understanding, piracy, you don't usually come up with a lot of money in piracy. What you come up with is supplies, soap, food, and the like. Any way that we can knock over a pirate ship.
Are you suggesting that the people who are resorting to piracy, like, they don't need a big push to resort to piracy. It's in their history. But the people here are resorting to piracy because they can't feed themselves. And you are suggesting to rob the people who are trying to feed themselves. Because they will have more food. That is your plan.
Yes, I'm suggesting we rob the people who can't feed themselves so we can give that stuff to the allies we need to make. Unless you have a better way.
We have no way of guaranteeing that the pirates that we're attacking are in fact members of the principality that we're trying to befriend.
Well, with little other information, there's not much else I can go on.
I just want to be clear. That this is your plan.
You say that...
Rika is a terrible...
Kyrann, you have given me zero to work with, and then you've expected me to make miracles happen. This is what I've come up with zero information to go on.
We could rob a Lyrandar ship, but then our own crew mutiny against us. So we probably
yes, that is a big point to make, but also secondarily, you're already in enough trouble with Lyrandar, and tertiarily, we have...
We're going to be in more trouble with Lyrandar as this progresses, so we might as well just rip the Band-Aid off.
But more importantly than that, they're probably better armed than us for to fend off pirates, especially if they're a ship that's around this area. We have no armaments on the ship, if I'm correct. We have no cannons. We have no ballista. Yes, Kyrann, but we have to assume that they're also going to have a caster.
I can take out a ship. Not like me.
We need to find ships that are less equipped than us. A pirate ship would probably be cobbled together, especially if it's a pirate ship from the Principalities, based on what you told us.
All right, so we'll see if we find any rich pirate ships on our travels.
No, I'm not looking for money. What I'm saying is pirate ships will have supplies.
Yeah, well,
and we can use them, and we can take those supplies and give them to our new compatriots, so we can work off a little bit of the debt we kind of owe them. My hope is that by the end of this, we'll be even enough with them, and I'll be able to convince them that just having the lot of us at their service will be of use to them. But that's going to be a hard sell without convincing them first that we're not out to screw them.
Alright, well. I'll put robbing starving pirates for food in the maybe category.
You see, Kyrann, it's a hard time for you to guilt trip me on things because out of the two of us, I've killed far less innocent people.
I wouldn't describe the people I've killed as innocent.
I'm certain you wouldn't.
Alright. That's the end of the conversation, I guess.
Okay. It's funny because he says, I'm certain you wouldn't. And then it's one of those things where even if she wanted to rebut, this is when her attention is caught by what's his name from her watch. And then, like, right as that person's catching her attention from the watch, Reich notices something flying from off port. Remember we had said that, like, we were kind of like, as you were sailing by the area, flash forwarding ahead a whole ton, that there was something flying off of the islands towards the ship. That's literally how we ended last session. So you do notice the something flying towards the ship, and that the weather around you suddenly was getting a little bit more harsh. So that being said, what do you guys do?
Can we see what the thing is?
I have Salbor cast invisibility on me, and I go towards the thing.
It is.
I fly towards the thing.
It's kind of far off to really make out what it is. But you can roll me a perception check to see if it's possible. Do me a favor, Bellum. Could you also roll me a perception check?
Yep.
So waiting for Bellum.
You just got perceived so hard.
That's weird. So Bellum, you hear the people talking about seeing something flying off the side of the ship, so that's not an issue. Reich, whatever it is, it's large, it's black, and it's strange looking. It's got wings and it's flying, though it's hard to make out the details. You get Stalbor's attention, and more or less like, Stalbor, I gotta go check that out. And so he's like, close your mouth. And
hold your breath. Hold your breath, Scott.
No.
Close your mouth is far creepier.
Well, you know what?
That sounds way more creepy.
All he's not here, he says, open your mouth. And then cast invisibility on you so you can go check things out. And then goes to that side of the ship and kind of like leans on it, curious to see what it is that you're gonna like. It's one of those like, I'm sure this is gonna try to kill us. I wonder what it is, you know. And
I'm gonna whip the crew in the defensive positions, just because if this thing is something gonna attack, then I want to make sure that we're ready for it.
Of course,
we're not actually in charge right now.
Well, first of all, we have yourself, who is abandoning the ship when this is happening.
Because somebody take over.
She's not abandoning the ship. She's going to investigate the problem quicker than you guys can. So you go to fly that way, and your speed when you're doing this is what, 60 feet when you cast fly. So it's pretty quick, and you immediately, as soon as you cast fly, like launch yourself up and off because of like your little magical thing that you got, and you start soaring that direction. Roll me a perception check to kind of start to see things from a distance, and then we'll, you can get closer if you need to. So you're able to make out some details as you're approaching. This thing, first of all, is large. Like, it's not a small, like, obviously it was from a distance that you saw it, right? It's large, but it's fucking disgusting looking. So, for one, its wings, while being ginormous, are sloppy and not feathered. They're also not, like, leathery, bat-like wings. It's actually kind of hard to describe the wings. It almost seems like there's not enough wing to support the massive size that's actually flying. As for the creature that's flying, it's very weird looking. You're not sure if it's scaly. It's got this like inky color to it. You're not sure if it's scaly or it's really hard to describe the flesh, especially from the distance. But its face, its face is horrifying. It's just got this like long kind of face that has these tentacles that are coming off of it. This thing is something of nightmares. Huge elongated claws, and it's flying towards your ship and like directly towards your ship and seemingly with a purpose. As it's flying towards the ship, you can kind of get the sense that there's an aura of magic coming off of it. And perhaps that's why the weather is darkening around the ship and around the region itself.
It's a sky kraken.
Potentially it's a sky kraken.
I don't think it's a thing. I'm not 100% sure it's a thing.
I don't know.
Is that just gonna be what is that Kyran's new thing? She's just gonna call things blank kraken.
It's gonna
be a horse. Oh my god, it's a ground kraken. See a monkey in a tree. It's a tree kraken.
Tentacles.
All right, so
okay.
You can get closer to get like a bit more detail, or you can like turn around and get back to your crew because you fly faster than it.
I will keep an eye on it and get a bit more detail.
Sure, you want to get closer. So as you get closer to the thing, you can clearly tell from its flesh that its skin reminds you. You don't need to roll because you did experience some. It's like almost kind of reminds you of like harpies. Like its basic like structure and everything reminds you of like what a harpy would look like. Aside from this, like the fact that it's ink black flesh, has this horrifying face with these tentacles coming off of it and these ginormous claws. The feet remind you of like harpy taloned legs. The tail, while thicker, reminds you of like the structure of a harpy tail. Even the way that the wings come off of it, even though it's lacking the feathery part of it, reminds you of harpy wings. But this thing is just horrifying in every way. You're invisible, so you don't have to worry about rolling anything, because you're also just like flying there free.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What do you do?
I'm just gonna kind of wait and see what it does.
Sure. It's flying directly towards the ship. If you don't take any action, that's fine.
I'm going to prepare an action to attack it if it looks like it's being aggressive.
Sure. Ship, it's flying at you. How do you guys retaliate? Bellum, you heard this. You can see it up there now. Reich, you see it as well.
I'm readying a arrow to shoot this thing if it seems like it is 100% going to attack us.
Sure. Awesome. It does seem like it's coming in pretty fucking aggressively. Just to be clear. Sorry, just got hiccups. It does seem like it's coming in pretty fucking aggressively, just to be... Sorry.
So I won't take
Clear.
the first shot.
Sorry.
But the second I see either party attack, either us or it, I will start firing like crazy.
Sure. Absolutely. So everybody roll me initiative, because clearly is going to... So you know, it's not like you guys get a free
It
action.
might have been a nice monster creature. I don't know.
You never know.
It's not like you guys get a
Oh.
free action. It's initiative, because you're all kind of
It's
planning
been-
on all sides.
It's been time since the last fight, right? So we're healed and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time.
Bullshit.
I just want
I
to make
did
sure.
not-
Like
click
like
mine.
over 2 weeks.
I didn't click mine because my token doesn't exist, so I refuse to click tokens now.
Oh shit! I fucked that up. I didn't click a token either.
I refuse to click tokens that don't exist.
My initiative is actually 8.
I honestly don't even remember where that is. I'll have to find it.
Yeah,
Remind me
you
during
don't.
the break, for Christ's sakes.
You run away. You
I-
run away.
I do usually run away during the break.
No way.
You go make tea.
Why don't you? Why is the initiative tracker not up?
I'm
Is
getting
it
it.
just me?
I'm getting it right now. There you go.
All right, so our first initiatives didn't matter. They're fake news because you didn't clear it or anything. So we get to roll initiative again.
Yep, one
Yeah.
second. No, you can just adjust. You can just
You
adjust.
said yeah.
Just adjust your numbers on there.
No, you
No,
said yeah.
no,
man.
you said yeah.
I think
Just
think we
adjust.
should-
Just
we
adjust your
stand
numbers on
by
there.
your-
Just adjust your numbers on.
I
I'm
think we
pretty
should
sure I heard
stand
that.
by
Show,
what you
show me
said
the show me the
first.
blueprints. Show me the blueprints.
Okay, there you go.
Fake news.
Why
You're
did
already
you,
first anyway.
Why
so
did you not pop on there, you mother effer?
What are we talking about?
My thing did not. My initiative didn't pop on there. There we go. Now
You
it did.
didn't want.
All right, cool.
So this
Just a
thing's making a storm. How much do you want to bet it's immune to lightning thunder damage?
What? No. No
Do
way.
we wanna take that?
It's a sky kraken, of course it is.
Okay, and one
Krakens
last
are only
person's
immune
roll
to lightning
initiative
damage,
for.
Not thunder, Eric. I'll have you know.
What?
Krakens aren't immune to thunder.
I don't
Only
give a
lightning.
shit.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Bellum, you're actually first. Your knocked and readied arrow gets to go first. Please, if you would like to start it off with firing your knocked and readied arrow.
Oh, I'm gonna. Is it within 90 feet or no?
If you choose to wait for it to be within 90 feet, then yes, it will get to that range though, before it does
All right.
anything.
So I'm gonna shoot it twice, and then I'll hunter's mark it when it is within 90 feet.
Mhm.
So. First shot. I'm not gonna do anything to that. That's a miss. Second shot, I'm gonna take the -5 to +10. So I'm feeling confident.
Yeah, boy. Oh, confidence paid up.
That's pretty damn good. Holy shit.
So 23 piercing damage.
Jesus Christ.
Were you with the first attack? Were you doing anything to modify that or no?
No.
It was just a flat 10.
It was just a flat 10. I wasn't happy with it, and I wasn't gonna do anything to it.
All right. Awesome.
I assume it misses, right?
Cool. All right, there we go. So yeah, that first one misses, but that second one does a shit ton of damage. That wonderful 23 damage. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. This one computer over here is... I had a power hiccup, and so it's being like wonky. All right. we're good now. After that turn is actually going to be the creature's turn. The creature flies up towards the ship, and actually, as it gets over to the ship itself, it casts a spell on one of the crew members.
Cool. I prepared an action, right? So I get to attack as well.
Because you were adjacent to it the entire time. Absolutely, you go right ahead.
Okay.
Be less. Don't do that. Cast not, lest ye be cast upon.
I'm casting Chromatic Orb. I'm casting it as a 4th level spell. I don't have that set up, so here's my 2nd level version, and then I'll just add
roll extra.
D6. And then I will action point that as well.
You hit.
So a 16 hits it. I like it.
2 more D8 to that.
How Will got the plus 10 damage was the sharpshooter feat, -5 to plus 10.
Yeah, sharpshooter feat.
Yeah, boy.
18 points of damage. It's gonna be cold.
18 points of cold damage. So as you like form up this ball of energy, naturally, just like you throw your hand back and this ball of crackling lightning and everything starts to happen in your hands, then you actually have to concentrate and channel different energies into it to make it like the winds that have the crackling lightning come off of it start to spin and whip around colder and colder and colder until instead of bolts of lightning, it's actually like snow and ice that's kind of like coming off this ball of wind in your hands. You hurl it at the thing and actually do 18 points of damage, which is pretty fucking solid, Aaron.
And of course, I'm no longer invisible.
Of course. So, he does cast a spell it does cast a spell that it was going to originally. The spell being Lightning Lure. So it actually does.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it actually does electrical damage to one of your crew members, and the crew member gets pulled off of the ship and into the water. And then it finishes landing. It comes to the side of the ship, and as soon as it lands, because it kind of like did that as it was approaching, it just like pulled its hand forward, and the person and got pulled off the ship. It finishes swooping forward and crashes into the side of the ship, putting like huge crack marks in it, and clinging on with its hind claws and one of its foreclaws, and with its free hand, it just starts beating and bashing at the ship, easily ripping apart the wood and everything underneath it. That is its turn for now. After that is actually going to be Reich's turn. Reich, as I just described, it is clung to the side of the ship. It is very large, but it's clung to the side of the ship, ripping into it.
Is it? Can I reach it with the melee weapon?
Yes and no. So it's one of those things where because it's on the side of the ship, if you had like a reach weapon, you could. But since you don't, you'll have to get fancy-footed to be able to actually get an attack to hit this thing. You're going to have to roll me an athletics or acrobatics check to pull it off. Or go below deck to where it's ripping open the hole.
No, I'm just going to shoot it because I don't want to get dangerous when it comes to the, dealing with the water here.
Sure.
So I'm going to just give the old shooty shoot. So that one's not going to hit. Not doing anything to that.
Guys are starting off with very mediocre rolls. Oh, hello. Hello.
You say.
Baby.
Oh,
You say.
Sorry.
Come on. Check yourself, bro.
I did, and I wrecked myself both at the same time.
So that's 17 points damage on that shot.
17 points of damage on that one. Beautiful. You can tell that your attack did not hurt it as much as you expected it to with the spot where you had placed the attack. However, Bellum's attack, it did exactly what you expected it to for where you had placed it, just to be clear.
Do you have a magical bow, Bellum? Bellum?
I don't know. What?
It did change after you fought those NPCs. Suddenly he was carrying a different bow. Oh, where'd that come from?
God fucking damn it.
All right, so
only I was a level 7 character with no goddamn magical items.
You have a ring.
Kyrann, that's your attack.
+1.
Alright. I'm going to attack this thing again. I'm going to Chromatic Orb as a 3rd level spell. I wasn't able to fix my spell in between turns. I'm just going to add D8 again. Oh, ow. Never mind. I don't hit.
Oh, I thought you rolled the 18.
No. I was trying to fix my spell before.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't me rolling. I was trying to to make it work with the
So this
increased
is what
damage by
happens.
level.
You form the spell, and you form the spell exactly as I described it beforehand, and you hurl the spell at the creature, same as you did beforehand, and you hit the creature, same as you did beforehand. Unfortunately, you weren't able to successfully rechannel the magics inside the spell, so all you did was hurl lightning damage at the thing. And it's the lightning like kind of rolls off of its body and doesn't even affect it. And on the negative side of it does nothing, the positive side is, yeah, I confirmed it does nothing.
It didn't heal it. That's good.
That you know of. Critical
know.
failures? Did they suddenly during the game?
No.
No. Okay, and after your turn is actually going to be Stalbor's turn. Stalbor, who is like, oh, what is this thing? Is not very happy with its current sudden appearance. Stalbor is going to do Old Faithful on this one and actually cast Magic Missile. Level 4 though, like he's going to go all out on it. He's going to do a powerful Magic Missile.
Can't miss with that thing.
Mega Magic Missile. 21 points of damage. Unfortunately, it didn't roll on the screen. Why didn't all these dice roll on the screen? That was weird. Did nobody? Yeah, you guys didn't see those dice appear, did you?
No.
Oh, they did on this computer, but not this computer. It's weird.
That's no dice.
Either way, 21 points of damage. This thing is getting pretty messed up. You can clearly tell that.
Bellum's gonna finish it.
Go ahead, Bellum. It's your turn. So once again, it's like on the side of the ship down below where Stalbor was. He was kind of like leaning and watching. He's like gripping onto the railing so he didn't get like thrown off. And he's like, "Oi!" And then hurls his magic down there, and you saw the what is it? 7 balls of energy or 6 balls of energy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna get to a point where I can see it to just line up a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cast Hunter's Mark on it. I will then shoot 2 shots at my longbow. I'm gonna take the -5 on both of these shots.
Woo! So that's a 12.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna possibly use action points. So roll 1d6.
Okay, so your 12 becomes a 14.
Does the 14 hit?
14 does not.
Okay, so that means that one is a 14 now, so I'll roll 1d6.
And that's a hit.
Okay, so the second one hits.
Yep.
So it deals
21 points of damage.
Plus that, plus
Jesus Christ.
that.
So 21, 30 points of damage. Okay. Well, I was hoping to actually get one turn with this thing on the boat, but unfortunately you brought it to -2. You just barely beat me with it. Go ahead, describe the kill as this thing's still clung on the side of the ship and being clawing into it.
Like as it's clawing in, it just like raises its arm up and it just lines up perfectly. And I shoot and it goes right through its claw, comes through and hits it right in the eye.
Oh, jeez. Hits the thing right inside the eye. You start to see the tentacles on its face whipping and thrashing around with its ink-like skin. As a matter of fact, when you shoot it in the eye, you can see its eye itself is oozing an almost ink-like ooze from the eye. As the thing starts writhing in pain, you can see that the clouds that were forming around overhead are getting darker and darker with channeling all sorts of electrical energy coming down and through it. It starts to rain for a moment before all of a sudden it instantly clears up. All of the clouds clear up. The thing suddenly falls still, falls limp, and then like hangs back off the side of the ship. But the sheer weight of it is too much for where its claws are dug into to hold the wood there to hold its weight. So it rips a few huge chunks into the side of the hull as it falls down into the water, splashing in the water. As soon as it hits the water, you can see almost like an ink cloud starting to form around it in the water, kind of like oozing out of it and expanding outwards.
Ooh, yummy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna look to Kyrann, who's in the sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fuck was that?
Sky Kraken?
Sky Kraken.
I like
I'm
Put
gonna
it in
go
the
try
cargo.
help repairing the ship because I'm assuming it's fucked up.
Yeah, that side has a couple of huge chunks in it.
I'll help
damn it.
whomever assisting in any way that I can help repair the ship so we don't sink.
We need a backup ship. just like one that we can just switch with, because this one always gets destroyed.
Aaron, you wanna have the thing brought into the hull?
Yeah.
So you want them to like kind of like somehow lift it, because this thing's gonna be huge. It's large size, so it's gonna be heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they gonna hoist it out of the water? You guys aren't exactly a fishing boat.
Well, we don't have a crane on the ship.
No.
Fly.
This is no
Like a fly
standard
on it?
boat crane.
Oh, actually, Aaron, you have
Can I-
levitate, don't you?
I don't have levitate.
Oh, you got rid of that
We got
ages
rid of
ago.
levitate.
Oh,
And I
no.
wasn't able to work it back into my spell list like everything else. That's
Will-
a priority.
What's the maximum weight you can put on your brand new magic carpet? The full size magic carpet.
The full size maximum, and it would move at half speed, is 1,600 pounds, I believe.
Oh, that's actually not terrible for a large size creature. You can do that.
I can move it.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right, I'm
probably
gonna-
probably with like assistance of like say something else or whatever. But you would actually be able to hoist the thing and bring it onto the deck
tie
of the
ropes
ship.
to it.
Yep.
Yeah, people tie ropes to it and they pull it up as I get under it and lift.
Mhm.
I do it to the best. It probably looks real sloppy because I'm not super familiar with the magic carpet yet either. I've only been practicing with it,
Mhm.
so it looks really sloppy, but it happens. I
Cool.
get it up, if you know what I mean.
Awesome. Thank you. So you get the thing up and onto the deck, slopped onto the deck, and almost immediately Stalbor is like really curious. Kind of looks to Kyrann like, "Can I begin?"
Yeah, go. Have fun with it.
And Stalbor gets his supplies from down below to come up and start opening up this corpse and trying to learn what he can from it.
If we can get it off the deck where it's not in everyone's way, that would be preferable.
That's going to be too difficult unless you want to like open up one of the graded areas and flop it immediately to the deck beneath. But that's kind of like where people like live and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, just leave it in the deck.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. So Stalbor is going to start cutting it open and getting to work, figure out what he can about it. Is there anything else you guys want to cover before I flash forward after his research?
No. Did
No,
we lose a person with lightning lure or no?
I do want to mention,
that's a good
however,
question. I would say because you ended the combat so quickly, you were able to easily. Kyrann just flew down, grabbed them, and pulled them back up. You know, they were really injured, but you were able to save them. So, not even rolling for that.
I do want to mention for future reference that my weapons do count as magical for the purpose of overcoming damage reduction.
Not your bows, do they?
Yes, they do. All my weapons.
Oh, beautiful. That's gorgeous.
Oh,
My Kensei
also,
ability.
quick question: was that a monstrosity and/or aberration?
Monstrosity.
Which did seem
So
pretty aberrant.
I would have had +4 damage to all my damage, right?
Well, there you go. So it wouldn't have died any sooner though. It would have died at the same time because how much damage she did on that last shot. Okay,
Right.
so I even probably with your damage, Eric, for that one attack. All right, so once again the dice didn't roll, and I don't know why it's not doing it for when I click on Ollie's character, but that's fine. Ollie rolled natty 20 on his medicine check to figure this thing out. So that's pretty convenient. As you guys know, he has advantage in all medicine checks with corpses. And so he spends some time checking this thing out. And because he got that natural 20 on his medicine check, I'm actually going to give him advantage on an Arcana check while investigating this thing. Wow. And he got an even
Not too
higher
shabby.
number, even if the natural number was a 19. So, more or less, you have that like last day of sailing or so between when this happened and when it was that you were supposed to get to the cave where you're going to more or less park the ship, right? And Stalbor is doing all the research, cutting this open and tearing it apart. Eventually, he's going to call Kyrann over, actually the whole party over, to discuss this thing, including Bellum. Because Bellum seems to have some sort of understanding of these strange creatures, so he's curious to see if Bellum would have any extra insights about it. And Reich, of course, because why not? He likes Reich. So you guys get called over, and he starts to explain to you that as he cut this thing open, its skeletal structure actually reminded him very, very much of that of a harpy, which is something funny because that's kind of what Kyrann was getting the idea of beforehand. Everything on the outside, the flesh, the claws, the face, all that stuff did not, but the inside seemed like a somewhat malformed frame of a harpy. Even the hollowness of the bones, everything about it reminds him of that. The way that the organs were placed, etc., etc. But he was able to really pick up some magical auras off of this. Detect magic, identify those kind of magics used with his just general arcana knowledge. He realizes that this creature was crafted. Like, this isn't an accident. This isn't like, this was strategically designed to be what it is. And it eeps all sorts of magics that he's familiar with because of his backgrounds. These are actually old magics like you would find in Zendrick. Old Zendrick kind of ritual castings is what was used to craft this thing into what it is. It is frightening, to say the least. But there it is, seemingly a blend between a kraken and a harpy before you, formed by old Zendrick magic.
You know, really, this could be anybody's doing. We shouldn't point the finger at any one organization.
Stalwart just
flying kraken monsters.
looks at you plainly.
I'm gonna, like, as he's explaining this, I kind of just like sit down, like fold my legs and go into a bit of a meditation where I primeval awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing if there's anything like this or anything out there. Does this seem like?
How many are there?
Do they nest in the area? Like. Yeah.
From when you do this, because you're still like so too far offshore, you're not gathering. You're not noticing any of them from here right now.
That's fine.
But that it's good news to know that there's not at least in the air within the surrounding 5 miles or whatever
Exactly.
small bits of land might be nearby. So that's good news.
I don't relay any information. I just keep it to myself.
Well, I guess it's how they're
By the way,
keeping up
Will,
the continuous storms.
I would suggest with your primeval awareness, you kind of break it down into 2 categories.
I should.
Yeah, primeval awareness for this and for this. That's actually what I just did for Ollie's game. The one I PC, I Ranger in Ollie's game. So it's like for like beasts or like favorite, just 2. So it's like small chunks for the one that you want to use it on. All right. Anyways, continue on, Aaron. I'm sorry.
I guess it solves the problem or question of how they were keeping up these continuous storms.
Stalwart just kind of nod, seeming quiet and contemplative.
Okay, so I guess we just continue on.
Okay.
Keep the kraken creature.
Keep it.
We're gonna keep it.
It's funny because Stalwart is actually looking at it and thinking, I wonder how much these parts would fetch for, or what kind of, things we can learn from this, and then realize there's no item creation feats in 5e, and decides never mind and shoves it overboard.
Yeah, but he makes potions off of shit. And also, it's proof that we can defeat these things. I say, looking to Reich.
Okay.
And they show goodwill towards the people we are trying to help.
So we're gonna bring this corpse all the way with us.
Yeah. It's fine.
Is it going to
Stalwart can fix it, so it's not gross. Less gross.
Stalwart looks at like the
he can
spilled
fix-
guts everywhere and the fact that he has like ink all up his arms and dripping down, like, and he's like,
Less gross.
I don't think he can fix this thing's birth. That would be the only way he can fix its grossness. But yes, I mean, we can bring it with us, but frankly, this might. Do we know that these guys didn't create this thing?
Well, like I said, it could be anyone.
I think that this is dangerous to bring this along with us, but whatever you say, Captain.
Are you suggesting that the Principality of and Last Point are creating these things?
I'm not ruling it out of the question.
You are filled with terrible ideas today, Rick.
If Kyrann, if they did create this thing,
Mhm.
and we killed it,
Uh-huh.
wouldn't that be essentially the first place we go now
Yeah,
wants to kill us?
You're right. I definitely think the changelings of Last Point went to Zendrick, the land of the elves. They made a kraken creature. That is definitely a
I
possibility.
mean, they're changelings. Can they not just
Kyrann,
become elves?
I shake my head like at the two of them. Like, nope.
I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't lead with, "Hey, we killed this thing." Maybe we should put some feelers out there
We'll
first.
follow it. We'll
Like I said, Kyrann, I'm operating from a situation where I know very little, and you have not given me much to work with what these people want, need,
These
and do.
people? What do you
Yes.
mean, these people? No, I'm just kidding.
So you suggest that my plans are crap, but the fact is I can't make a plan without information.
I
And
understand.
you're either
Good.
withholding information.
What do you think I'm withholding? What do you think I'm withholding?
Well, you continue to shoot down my plans, so it seems as though you have more information on this place than you're giving me.
Okay, let's revisit the information I have given you and see if you can connect some dots here. Okay. We know that Lyrandar is starving the people of this area by creating storms, preventing them from doing trade. Okay. We passed through the storm. We know the storm was made by the fucking Kraken creature that came from Zendrick. Okay.
Well, first of
Sure,
all, did we
I
know
guess-
that they were using the storms? I knew that they were starving them out. I don't remember when we learned that
Either
they were using storms.
or a fleet, and I don't see a fleet.
They have flying ships. Why would the fleet be over the water?
To stop the. They're using storms. They made Kraken creatures. We're gonna go to the last point now.
Sorry, but that was a dumb question. Why would the fleet be over the water? That's how an embargo works.
No, but
To
first of all,
stop
they
the
have
ships.
flying
To
ships.
stop
and they
the
work
ships
with
in the
House-
water.
We know that they're working with other houses, so they could easily work with House Madonna, keep their ships out of the waterways, where they can be caught
Okay.
and sniped.
Yes.
And they
yes,
could
they
just
can
fly-
keep them
they
out of
could
the
just fly-
waterways. But then, right. Okay.
This is Eric.
The reason
Eric,
why they would. Okay, right. Eric. The reason why those ships would be close to the waterline is because the entire purpose of that fleet would be to stop the trade of seagoing vessels. They have to be able to see those vessels. Ergo, the ships have to be within sight of stopping those things.
Wait,
have
they have
not-
to be able to see them, or they have to be able to see them?
If they're creating an embargo, they have to be able to see the ships to stop them. Like, you have to have like a line. Whether it's above or below, it doesn't really matter. Like, they're stopping the seagoing vessels.
Never mind. It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
So, moving on. One of the things that Stalbor is going to point out for you is that during this time that you guys have been here, you had grabbed a bunch of crates and whatnot from the airship, and he was actually able to pull out several potions. Some of them he was able to identify, and other ones he wasn't able to identify yet. Of the ones that he's been able to identify, he does tell you actually one of them was actually a scroll. It was a 5th level scroll of anime objects, which is like, holy crap, that's a powerful 5th level scroll. He was able to identify a potion of speed. He was also able to identify a really, really unique potion, one where it kind of gives you the ability to read the auras of people, which is very, very interesting. However, he believes that if you consume this is going to have temporarily the negative side effects that you'll have severely impaired, if not blinded vision, while you're able to see those auras. But there are a couple of things that were kind of like found in the crates down below that you had pulled in, as well as like other supplies and stuff like that. Seems like there may have been more of those, but they probably got broken during the crashing of the ship and shit. So, all right. So that was kind of inform you that was discovered. If somebody wants to choose to write that down, and you will continue traveling forward. Now, what N does is he directs you to bring the ship to a cave, as we had previously discussed. Brings the ship to the cave for you to place it for it to be safe. He of course informs you this cave is a place that was originally used for, obviously hiding pirate ships and whatnot from fleets that would come nearby. They stopped using this because just like the natural way that rocks had formed and the magical battles that happened nearby made it so the waterways to get here are far, far too dangerous for a ship to normally navigate. You don't have a normal ship, you have a water galleon, so that allows you to navigate in ways that a regular ship can't. At least at slow speeds. At high speeds, it's a different story. Nothing's going to beat one of the ships that you would find in this region, Lhazaar ship. So, you bring the ship to dock inside of this cave, and everybody's able to kind of climb out and whatnot, and informs you that the cave is relatively safe and that you should be fine here, but extremely suggests like at least one of us, just like the 5 of you, should stay behind to watch over the ship. So in case anything goes sideways, because you never know if you got spotted coming into the dock.
All right, Bellum will do it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
So
Stalbor casts Blight on Bellum because he's a little plant bitch.
So I will ask Stalbor to stay because he can send out flares
Yep, of course.
to get our attention.
Of course.
Little plant bitch.
All right. So you guys are getting out of the kind of cave area. The way out of the cave area is actually like the whole thing's been formed nicely. Like there's literally a stairwell that was carved into the rock for you to easily get out. You know, this whole thing was obviously used for lots of like smuggling and the piracy and everything that would happen in this region. So it's very like, there's literally like a dock set up overhead. There's a platform, though it's you know in disrepair now, where there was a crane set up that might even still work, and all that stuff. Stalbor does make a little joke of he would send you with a picture of the creature for you to use in your conversations, if only he still had his camera. And then you guys can kind of, you know, leave the cave to make your way. Any conversations you want to have with N at this point?
I would ask N something.
N,
Sure.
do you think that the changelings of Last Point have developed a Kraken hybrid monster? Because that's Breck's idea.
He looks at Reich, or she looks at Reich a little sideways.
Fuck you. It was a thought.
We all have thoughts. But in Last Point, at least for as far as I remember the place, the assets and resources there aren't so great that we could accomplish such a thing. And I had listened in on what Stalbor was saying beforehand, and the suggestion of the types of magics used to accomplish that are, well, we don't even have a reach as far as Zendrick or an origin from Zendrick to have acquired such magics. I think we all know who we're thinking may have been behind this. And kind of coyly looks over at Kieran's way.
Could be anyone.
Could be. Probably one in particular person.
Hmm.
But could be anyone.
Agreed.
But the changelings of Last Point.
That's all we say on the matter.
And the walk is a little uncomfortable as Reich like stares daggers at the back of N's head. You guys are making your way. So you are traveling along this path to get to the actual city of Last Point. Now I say city because it is in fact that it is a city in the sense that of how it's been designed and how on top of itself it is. But it's not a city in the sense of DMG rules of the population that exists there. It's actually a rather small population because it's not like all changelings and all of Corvair have come here. It's also not only changelings that exist here. You think, because it's hard to tell because, you know, you see other things there, right? But when you get to Last Point, when you actually come to the city itself, which is again kind of densely grouped together despite the small size, when you finally get there, the buildings are designs as you would imagine any port city with a low income and not a strong backgrounds of like a king or a nation or whatever had put it together. The buildings, there's no uniform way that they were constructed. Quite a few of them, especially on the outskirts, are lean-tos. There's straight out dilapidated buildings in some areas here and there. The whole place seems like a bit of a slum. At first, you get the idea like, ooh, this place is kind of shitty and like uncomfortable, but it seems like everybody here, like even when you go into slums, even if it's like it's my neighborhood, yeah, it's a shithole, but I'm happy to be here. This is my neighborhood. If you're just in like a crappy part of a large city, you don't get that kind of feeling off of these people here. You seem like they're genuinely like not bothered by it at all. Not like we just accept it. It's just like they're happy that it's here almost. Like this is like something that they're proud of, not just proud to be a part of, right? So you walk into the city and nobody really gives any of you a second glance at all at first, until the first person notices the dragon mark on Kieran's face is very prominent. It's not like, oh, it's a tattoo that looks like a dragon mark. Like, it is a prominent dragon mark. And that person, or the next person that notices you guys and notices the one on Bellum's like shoulder, neck kind of area where that one is visible, and realizes you're not just changelings in disguise. You're not just people. You're dragon marked people coming into their city. And so when that happens, it becomes apparent, more to Reich than the other two, that people are kind of like whispering about it. And like word is going to travel very quickly like wildfire. As a matter of fact, at one point, En kind of leans over to Kyrann and says, En, you're familiar with flash paper, correct?
Yeah.
News here travels faster than that burns. By nightfall, everyone will be aware of your arrival. So I suggest we don't go directly to who it is that you're looking to speak to, and we wait until we're just plain out invited.
Mike, what do you think?
I'm game for this. In this area, I'm going to have to defer to En, as I don't know much of the customs of these people.
And my suggestion is not to just go into a tavern and sit down and order a drink, as they're likely it's unknown as to whether or not they'd be willing to serve you.
Will they lock the door and try to kill us? Because that worked out really well for the last group of people who did that.
I don't know.
Well, do you have some place that we can stay?
I suggest we don't stay. I suggest we either go sightseeing or perhaps go to a shop and buy something. I just think we should kind of keep moving about, going about business as usual until we're summoned.
I think we can do shopping.
Shopping sounds good.
Yeah.
I know of where several shops are that might have things that you're looking for. I believe Kyrann had suggested that she wanted to maintain a low profile. Well, it's going to be blown up to some extent, but let's not give people a reason to try to take our coin. What is it you're hoping to purchase, hoping to acquire?
I need some new arrows.
Just a Fletcher? Come this way. No. It's actually only 2 turns from here, and takes the first turn around like a corner.
I follow.
Okay, another turn, and brings you up to a kind of like a shop that it's just a Fletcher's shop that has like all different bows and crossbows and arrows and bolts and things like that of different sorts that are there. To be specific, these bows and these arrows and whatnot you see there, they're actually some like well-crafted, more unique arrows, because usually Bellum just makes his own or purchases some quick on the cheap. There are actually some arrows there that will, because like short bow arrows and long bow arrows are different ones. There are long bow arrows and short bow arrows that will increase your range of the bow slightly, which is nice. So like we'll increase it by 10 feet or 15 feet, short bow or long bow respectively.
Not interested, just wants to get regular arrows.
Sure. Yeah, you just purchase arrows, not a big deal. Anything else you guys looking to acquire, or are you just more or less kicking around?
No, not really.
I thought you wanted to buy stuff, Eric.
I wanted to buy stuff, but I don't have money for any of the stuff I want. I want a magical sword, but
You have? I mean, you don't have any money?
well, I have about with the money that we just got. I have 2,700, which is not enough.
I don't know if you remember this, but in Eberron, a +1 sword is
A lot cheaper.
a lot cheaper because it's post-war. It all depends. Do you want like a war-crafted +1 sword, or do you want like a well-crafted +1 sword? Well-crafted ones are going to be more expensive, but still well within that range.
I want to get an Odachi for the for that's +1.
Gotcha.
Preferably.
You're likely not going to find that specific sword here. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you like any chance where I can get more or less an upgrade to what I have here, and it's one of those, your culture is unique, and we're not very integrated into it because of, well,
Could they
you
not
have a very
enchant-
stringent culture.
You could pick up like not an Odachi, but like just a generic like +1 sword and sell it later on, Eric.
Nah, I'm good.
Mhm.
Would there be a chance that they can enchant my Odachi?
Once again, we're not really known for our use of magics.
Okay. Just wanted to check.
Hmm.
No problem.
Any consumables or anything like that you guys looking to purchase? Are you good?
Actually, yeah. Let me get how much are cure potions? Yeah, just basic healing potions.
50 each.
50.
Do any of us have a bag of holding? Because we should
I'm gonna
totally just
grab
get a bag of
3.
holding and just shove all kinds of potions in there.
Dalbor has it, doesn't he?
He
Is he a bag
does.
of half holding.
Oh, didn't you? I think he had a backpack, but it blew up or something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab 3 healing potions.
A bag of holding doesn't sound like a terrible idea, but they just said they might not have much of the magics.
So a bag of holding is something that it's. So if Bellum says that and
Yep.
says no, something like that might be more common here. You know, you never know when you need to grab everything your employer has in their house and leave because you suspect they're suspicious of who you are.
That's
That
fair.
makes sense. So
How much would
Things
one
are
cost?
traveling.
Remind me the rarity of a bag of holding.
No idea.
I don't remember.
5e bag of holding.
I think it's uncommon.
Did it not type? I pressed letters and didn't finish typing. Bag of holding.
hold on.
Yeah, right here. Bag of holding is wondrous, and it's not telling me the rarity.
It doesn't tell you the rarity.
Doesn't. Booyaka.
Motherfuckers. It tells you the rarity if you're not on Roll20, which only has very limited information.
Who can find
Luckily, I
it?
had the DMG super readily available because I was looking at a whole sorts of rules for a thing that I was working on. The thing with the stuff that I was working on.
The thing and the stuff.
Bag of holding is uncommon.
I said
Bag
that.
of holding is uncommon. I think I just heard Eric yell that out loud. And
Yeah, we don't believe
uncommon
you, though.
items go for anywhere between 1 to 500. I'm actually going to allow you to pick that up for 300 gold pieces.
I would buy one.
Do you
I'll
think
buy
we
one
need
too.
more than one?
Whoa, you buying more
yeah,
than
I'll
one?
grab one.
You buying
Yeah. We
3
get a
bags of
deal?
holding?
Are
Do
there
you get
more
a
than one?
deal?
Actually, they get more expensive as they go because the first one was going to be 300. Getting a second one is like, well, there's less on the market, and the third one's going to be difficult.
All right.
So it's
I'm
actually
glad I
going to
bought
be
that
3,
first one.
4, and 500 respectively. So if you want to go for all of them, that's going to be what's that? 1,200.
That's
I mean, I'll grab one,
that's
and
an
Bellum can
absurd way
grab
to
one.
do business. But,
You're assuming you're buying them all from the same person. You're not.
Yeah.
Right.
but do they hear from other people like that they hey, these guys already bought one bag of holding. Quick, raise the price 100 gold.
Eric, you're playing RuneCraft or some other shitty MMO with their own built-in commerce, and you buy the cheapest silver bars you can buy, and when you run out of buying the cheapest ones, your option is to buy the next cheapest ones, and that's what you just did.
All right. So Bellum, I'll just grab the 400 one. And you can just take the 300 one.
That's fair. I would get
Fair.
more arrows. You brought me here, damn it. I would get more arrows and just put them in the bag of holding. That way I don't run out anytime soon.
Thank you.
And
Wendy.
I'll grab like 4 potions.
No wonder these people are starving. They don't know how to run an economy.
So it's funny when you go to buy that third one and you put down that money. That third changeling, which the first one actually was
Did
a
we buy
changeling.
all three? I thought we were just bought two.
Just buying 2, yeah.
Oh, my apologies. And the second one then. The second one was also just a changeling. So let's ignore what the third one is. So the second one, when you buy that and you realize the third one, like, oh, I heard somebody that has, the second person's like, so tell me. And he gestures to Kieran's face, like looking at Kieran, gestures to his own face.
Sup with your face.
Bruh.
Are
Sup
you?
with your face, bruh.
You know what? I will just activate the mark and just kind of make it rain a little bit. But it rains
But
like
not on
around
you.
us. Yeah. And then I will.
I just like kind of wipe the water off me. I said, I feel like you could have just said yes.
Yeah, it's more fun to use it.
They probably pissed him off because his fucking.
And then I'll shape water and just move it away.
It's one of those things where it looks down, breathes hard, looks over at N, shakes the head and says to N, "You got an excuse for bringing this?" N says, "You don't seem to mind taking the gold. It's because I need it. It's because I have to." N responds, "You always needed the gold. Now's no different than then. You would have taken the gold then too. I needed it less then. Well, maybe it's a different perspective." The person's kind of shaking their head and says, "It's not likely they survive being here." To which again N responds, "You might be surprised with how many people don't agree with their own families or houses. How many of our own people don't agree with what we do?" And the person is just like one of those, clearly is a bit of an open-minded person because they're listening. They took your money, right? And they're listening, but it's very uncomfortable with this whole scenario. And as you guys leave the shop, that's more or less just a person's house who's selling it out of their house because it's a whole store they just happen to have when they're selling. Go ahead.
I want to add that I would have been talking in Lhazaar because that is something I can speak.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But that's fine. That just means that you're silver-tongued. But also
Well, it's
less
kind of
offensive,
just a cool
right?
language too.
Yeah.
It's a little like Creole. It's a mixture of everything.
So the when you walk out of the shop and says that's going to step up the timetable of things that we of more aggressive people finding their way to us. I suggest that maybe we make our way over to where it is we're likely going to be summoned to reduce the likelihood of us being. Let's just go to where it is that we might be a bit safer, where others might follow the rule of where others might follow the suggestion of law better than where we are now. And you guys kind of leave to go that direction. So to kind of sum this up, if you didn't have N, you probably would have blumbered around and done the wrong thing. And 2, if you actually continued shopping, it could have gone really, really poorly for you. But you actually don't have to worry about that because the N brings you back over to where as she suggested, with the suggestion of law is better respected. And so you go to where it's a bit safer. You hang around there for only a couple more hours as you start to see ire coming from those around you, and eventually somebody will walk up to you directly. Still full gray face changeling, but wearing like armor, clearly like very well crafted chainmail armor, mithril links and stuff like that, will actually come up to you and to grab your attention and says, "Well, you got Kell's attention. She would like to speak with you."
God, this is gonna be interesting.
They also use Elvish pronouns.
So they
How progressive.
Well,
How
get
progressive.
Creole, right? It's a blend of languages.
Yeah, it's a blend of languages. There's definitely Elvish here.
So you guys make your way over to the follow this person to where Kel's home is. Because of the way that the Changeling society is, it is not like a typical society where like the ruler sits in the biggest and best house or has this huge throne or anything like that. It's actually a lot more of a socialistic society in the sense that like everybody just survives together, puts work in together, takes it out together, and works more of like in a unity. There's an understanding of who the leader is because they're the ones that made this happen. But it's not like this person siphons or takes a lot for themselves from the community. Having the community is already the reward enough. Or at least that's the way it seems on the outside. How it works behind the scenes, who knows, right? It's almost like I say more socialistic as opposed to saying like communistic because it's like, it's not like people have very specific jobs. It's just people all kind of like put in and take out together, right? There's no like predefined roles. Anyways, moving on. So when you go to Kel's home and you meet with Kel, you actually notice that Kel is also Greyface and waiting for you when you arrive. Kel is standing outside their home and dressed in nice clothing, but certainly not even like Shar nobility, let alone royalty. Certainly not even Shar nobility nice. Just like a person with money nice, right? And when you meet with Kel, they welcome you by saying, "You have some balls. I will give you that you have some balls coming back here with them, especially considering that he's not even around anymore." And just kind of like shrugs and, I gave you the permission to go to them. You had permission to go live that life. And you turned your back on the things that we were trying to accomplish, and then you bring them back to me. Despite everything. And respond saying, "Are we going to have this conversation in the open, or should we have a more private conversation? This is a community thing. I have no problem having this conversation for everybody to hear. You brought them here for a reason. What's that?" Well, for one, they have no ties to any of this going on. As a matter of fact, when I joined with them, what they were actively doing was trying to, even if it was unwitting, uncover what has been transpiring this whole time. I obviously didn't know this was happening. When I head to the mainland, there's so much I don't get. But they've been trying to figure, I think, this out. So they're here trying to find out what is this. Kel looks to Kyrann and says, "I know your face."
It's pretty distinct.
It is, especially considering the hell that you rose in these waters not too many years ago.
Yeah.
I also know your relations.
Yeah.
And the wonderful things that those relations have done in this area. Do you even know what's happening here? How much have you even discovered?
Very little. A laughable amount, really.
Well then, Nico brought you here for a reason. Let's see what that reason is. What do you know?
I'll give a general overview of what we know,
Okay.
which
Kinda-
is pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Well, you do explain out a bit
Serving
more.
the people here, and I know that I've seen Lyrandar warship come this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really, that's about it. I know that like a member of my house was murdered for secrets he collected.
You express surprise of the storms and stuff like that.
Not surprised, because I kind of expected it.
Mm-hmm. Do you say why you think the storms are there?
Yeah.
So actually, Kel asks you, and after you like explain yourself out and you're standing there before him, Kel's aggravation is actually very heavily on N, but not necessarily on you directly. You know what I mean? Especially as you explain yourself out and he realizes your ignorance. Like his expression and everything softens to you. And it's kind of hard to tell this if it wasn't for the fact that you were so good friends with N, that you've seen expression on the changeling. They're able to kind of pick this up. But there actually are... he softens to the three of you, understanding your ignorance. Especially Reich. He actually genuinely feels bad for Reich that he got dragged into this shit. You know what I mean? But that's like, but doesn't really say anything. Listens more than anything else. So getting to like after you finish explaining, the first question he asks is, explain to me then. Do you? And he actually directs the question to Reich, even though Kyrann did most of the talking. Do you not have these storms on the mainland?
No. Not to this degree, nor intensity.
You don't have these storms at all.
No, we also don't have like the half harpy, half kraken critters flying around.
Yeah, those are new.
Huh. Well, those are... difficult, but generally stick to the waters. So they're an issue for our ships, but not an issue for our homes. So that's a different conversation entirely. So the storms are new, but what about... we don't even know entirely why the storms are here. We just know that they've interrupted all form of travel to the mainlands, aside from going through the Moor Holds. And there is checkpoints at the Moor Holds to ensure that those from the Principalities can't make their way in or through. Very, very, very few are able to slip in or out of the Moor Holds to the Principalities. And the storm seems to stretch across the sea in anywhere that otherwise would allow us to get to the mainland, and we don't understand why. The storm is actually so intense, we can't even get to Zendrick from here. We can't even get that far. We can get to Aranel. There are ships that have sailed to Aranel and back, but not to Zendrick. And then there's reports from those that have been able to acquire the means to stretch high enough in the sky. There's rumors of the moon. These are very strange times indeed. And this has been going on for nearly
What rumors
2
about the
years. The moon. The new
What
moon.
about the new moon?
Yes.
I haven't heard anything about that.
There's been a new moon for over 2 years, as the rumors
How
say.
have I not noticed that, Scott?
It's a
While
really
I'm navigating.
That's a really good question.
I'm really bad at being a captain.
No, that's a really good question.
When did you start noticing this new moon?
The rumors, I've never seen it with my eyes, are that it like the rumors of sightings of it started a little over 2 years ago, around when the storm started.
I look at Kyrann. I look back at him, and I say, "We've been on the seas for upwards of a few. How long have we? How long has it been since we cast off? It's been many months. Has it
Yes.
been a full year yet?
No. It's been about 3 months.
We've been traveling for about 3 months on the sea, and we've noticed no such new moon. Including, in addition to that, we spent a number of years on land and never noticed it as such. And I feel as though any sighting of a new moon, regardless of whether or not it was relegated to rumor or not, would cause a stir on the land. The moons mean something, especially when it comes to the navigation and the like. I think we would have heard something to that effect. I'm thinking this moon might have something to do with the problems you've been having with the storm.
The storms themselves, there's no question as to where the storms came from. Those are created intentionally and
Indeed.
managed. They're maintained. The Lyrandar ships can be seen flying around their rim. Large charges of magic coming off of those ships, seemingly feeding the storms and maintaining them. There's no question as to what forms the storms. The question is, why were the storms formed?
Kaladin made it very clear that the storms are meant to extort you. They were meant to starve you out, make you compliant, but you haven't heard what they want?
We can't even get people in or out
Right
to
then,
find information.
Bellum would very politely enter the conversation and say, "Could I have a word with Kyrann for a second to the side?"
Certainly. Gestures for you to step to the side, and actually he's gonna turn to Reich and just kind of have a little light conversation with Reich. You can actually see that he speaks to Reich pretty plainly. It seems as though he's very open with Reich, and much more comfortable when the other two step aside.
Yeah, Reich is
Right.
a dragon mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm polite with him. Obviously, I'm interested and I'm trying to get I'm not forcefully, but just try the conversation. I try to see what's been going on, and I'm trying to suss out what these guys need.
Yep.
Because I need to figure out a plan to get them on their side. But
We'll take care of that in 2 seconds. Aaron, you go right ahead.
Or
What's
Will?
up, Bellum?
Well, as this conversation has grown, I'm putting more bits and pieces of what I've seen, and to be honest, I have a question for you. You said you had a friend, member of Deneath.
Mm-hmm.
How did he feel about these different races? How did he feel about changelings? How did he feel about different races?
Luca? I don't know. Didn't
he
give
was
much opinion much.
He was racist garbage. Why we killed him?
He didn't much care for the changelings because, they kidnapped and replaced his brother. But other than that, I don't.
Well, the issue I'm drawing is you said that it seems as though they are colluding all these different families, yes? It seems that they're working together. Now,
Not necessarily. We uncovered various different plots. Whether or not they're interconnected, we don't know. So
we'll hear this out. So, Lyrandar seems to be starving these changelings out of their home to make them, like you said, compliant, or for whatever reason.
Mhm.
I've noticed in my travels members of House Deneath who usually work well with people who, don't typically fit in. Usually work well with goblins and such, yeah?
Mhm.
Seem to be murdering gnolls. Now, it seems as though if there were some collusion going on, it seems very clear who the targets would be. It seems very clear that it's different monstrous races. It's not elves that are being killed. It's not humans.
this is we're focusing on Last Point right now, but the principalities are quite large and spread out, and the storms are affecting all of them, as far as we know. So it's not just the changelings here; it is the elves to the north, the half elves to the northeast. as well.
Fair.
But I do see your point, and to your point, we do know that either House Farland or House Thorani are involved in this as well.
Yeah, I think there's a bigger picture of what they're aiming to hit here, and I don't think it's just the principalities. I do think that there's things happening on mainland, but I guess we don't know exactly what.
I would like to solve the problems here, if we can.
I agree. We have to start somewhere.
While you guys are having that aside, and being quiet and keeping to yourself, you and Kel are speaking. One of the things Kel says is, the hardest part with not being able to get people across the border, sorry, the easiest thing when dealing with you can't get people from one location to the other, is that you usually have other forms of communication. Our people are skilled at various things. It's not like your people where you're trained for very few distinct things and you do that extremely well. Ours are pretty well-rounded. And so we do have magical means from time to time to, say, send communication. Even those have been shut down. Magical sendings, for instance, aren't working. Attempts to use the sending stations here in the Principalities are met with arrest. It's not. We can't even get messages in and out magically, as well as just by traversing from one lance to the next. That's what Kel says to you.
So, you more than likely have agents, so to speak, in the field that have been without orders for a long time?
Yes.
Are they prepped for these sort of situations?
Every single solitary. Well, you say agents. So let me take it back a second. You say agents. Agents is kind of an unfair way of putting it because we're all just people trying to survive, and though of course we do have plans, most of our motive is to be accepted. Though to make that happen, there's more required. For instance, your people just want to be accepted in the greater Corvair. But to do that, you have to be a part of their commerce. You are literally an assets that is traded, no more value than a handful of coins. And that's your means of gaining acceptance. Well, we, of course, have to offer our services as cutthroats and spies to gain our value. But instead, it's hurting both of our peoples. You're seen as hired thugs, and we're seen as snitches and thieves.
No, when I use these terms, I use it simply for lack of a better term, not out of any sign of disrespect. To be frank, before I met the person we refer to as N, I knew little of your people, and even though I lacked trust for him in the beginning, given the situation that brought us together, over this our time together, have grown to respect him. I have no ill will to you or your people, and frankly, part of the reason we came here is because we were disturbed by the reports that we received. Our hope is that after some time and perhaps earning of your trust, we will be able to work together to accomplish what both of us are looking to do, because I believe though our end goals may differ, what we will need to do to accomplish them will help us both.
Where did you sail from?
Myself, we
most recently.
I would say Etherport. We were in Kobara for a time.
So be honest, you're coming here. Is that because you wanted to deal with my people? Or is your coming here out of convenience because we were the first stop from your, place of origin?
No. Our initial intention wasn't to come here to see what was going on. We were actually intending to travel through to the Moorholds. There's something I seek in there. However, recent situations have reprioritized our goals. I understand Kyrann had always intended to come see what was going on here. Kyrann is she comes off as gruff, but she honestly does care for people, and I believe she cares what is going on here. It is our hope that we might be able to at least alleviate some of the problems you've been having. I can't promise we'll be able to fix everything, but
For those that know her face, doesn't matter how much she cares or how much she tries. The memories will always be in the principalities, what has transpired in the past. Doesn't matter if you were a dog taking the orders of your master, you still are the one that was doing the biting.
I understand. And
However, there are those that can still be spoken with. There are those that can be trusted, and there are those that cannot be. And I imagine at this point in time, you can...
They were probably,
but making their way back in. So as you guys make your way back over, and, he'll actually turn to you and say, "It's not only me you've come to speak to, is it, Kyrann?
Nope.
Who else?"
Hold on, let me pull up my map.
Mm-hmm.
My intention is to head next to Farlin. And then Orthos. And then I suppose I should finally take our hobgoblin to go get his library book.
I roll my eyes.
Sorry, Farlin and Orthos. Why are these? Because weren't you going to Regalport as well, which is Green Tarn?
I have no intention to go into Regalport.
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
Nope.
All right. Cool.
I'm just assuming that they're more likely to be colluding with the houses.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So you closing all that crap. Don't need you open either. So you so what Kel will say to you is and what are you hoping to get from them? More information?
Or support.
Support for what?
To chase Lhazaar the Principalities.
How are we expected to do that? Any Lhazaar that's in the Principalities, or most Lhazaar in the Principalities, sit comfortably on their ships in the sky that we cannot reach.
I can reach the ships.
How?
I can fly.
Okay. You as an individual person can reach an individual ship.
I have a plan to reach an individual ship and take that one ship over, and from there we will take out the other ships. Plan by plan basis.
Why are you behaving the way that you are? A backstabber. You are the niece of Kalandin, right?
Yes.
So what do you have to gain by turning your back on everything that you have before you? Why should I believe even a word that you say?
Well, you don't have to believe me. I'm giving you information. If you want it, you can take it. I assume we have similar goals. If we don't, then we don't have to do business together.
The goal for me and my people is to survive. That's our goal. Right now, that's becoming very, very difficult to do as things are... You don't realize how linked you are to other peoples until you have those links severed. And then you're all on your own. Commerce is the heartbeat of society, at least our society. The principalities
Look,
are
either killed my fiance or allowed it to happen. Either way, I'm going to rip them apart. I don't really care how. So either you can help me when the time comes, or you don't.
Let me know what your plan is when you have one. We can discuss things then.
Will do.
Is there anything else I can... You came here to speak to me. You've been seemingly forthright. What else were you hoping to get from me? Information-wise.
Nico Didini, the real one. Where is he?
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And looks at N and looks back at you and says, I think you should have a conversation with your companion.
Oh,
Oh my
if
god.
Luca were still here, he'd be so upset right now.
I'm gonna fucking club N to death. I swear to God.
Swear to God, kid.
Swear to God.
What can I do an insight roll on N? Like what was her face look like?
What are you inciting?
Sure, insight.
Oh, I just got fucked.
Well, yeah, I want to see if she's brushing this off or if she's like. Yeah,
Sure.
Okay. Pretty good insight.
That's a really good insight. N seems genuinely shamed.
Ah, okay.
And
Oh man.
Kel says, however, perhaps that is a conversation for you to have in private. And then we'll actually give you like a traditional Principalitian farewell. Which, Aaron, would you like to describe a Principalitian farewell?
I don't know.
You get to make one
I
up.
don't have
Go,
one.
go
I
right
don't wanna
ahead.
make one
There's
up.
lots of
It's your
chances.
favorite region of Eberron. I'm allowing you to make it
It's
up.
not my favorite region I've ever run.
Yes, it is. It is way better than the Onder. Way better in every way.
He puts his finger up his nose, winks twice, and then salutes you.
No, I don't know any like goodbye gestures. Like, I don't have an opinion on this. Sorry.
He does the goodbye horses thing from the Silence of the Lambs.
What other like goodbye gestures are there besides waving or shaking hands or like grabbing forearms? Like that's all I know.
It's probably like a phrase along the lines of, may the winds be true, or may the winds favor you, or may the winds be at your back. Things like that.
Peace.
May the traveler keep things interesting.
There you go. May the traveler keep things
Hey.
interesting. And with that, we are actually going to take a break. That's right. We're actually taking a break. But you didn't expect that. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Probably about 7 minutes or so, since we didn't take a break for an hour and a half. Give everybody a moment to pee and whatever else you got to do. And we'll be right back to find out what the fuck N has been doing this whole time. Bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Before we jump right back into the story, I'd just like to say I'm still eating Easter candy from last year.
That's gross. You should probably said that away.
Yeah, you should probably
It's
throw that in the
American.
trash.
It's American candy. It's not going to expire until like my great grandchild dies.
Just because it's not going to expire doesn't mean it still tastes good.
It doesn't. The taste isn't going to change until my great 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 grandchild dies.
I
Let's
don't
assume
know
the
about
planet is around that long, you know. But or say humanity, the planet will be here. Or I should say my line. You know, I'm sure humanity will be here to some extent.
I
My
mean, if your
might
line
not be.
ends, then that's...
I'm riding
Darwin
all
is
on
right
one
there.
person. She could be like, I'm gay and not having kids. And I'd be like, well, buck stops there. So, anyways. So, let's go to, wow, Odette doesn't have a quote. That's sad.
She was
That was-
alive
that's
for
That's
like
because the
3
dead
sessions.
don't speak. The dead don't speak.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
Stalber's still talking.
Oh, what's the undead? So you guys look to N as what's his name? More or less like allows you to leave.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we all just silently go back to the ship.
So
Yeah,
walking
so
back
Want
to
to
the
go
ship.
somewhere else? Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything until we get back to the ship.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we get into the captain quarters of our ship. Like, we don't do this on the fucking deck.
So it's literally just like pure silence the entire multi-hour walk back to the ship.
Mm-hmm.
That's your punishment.
That's
How much is like burning on the inside of whatever the
What-
appropriate pronoun is?
I have
Gem?
fury.
Gem. That's what I was gonna say, gem, but it
No,
sounded too weird in my head.
It's them. Go ahead, Eric.
I have fury burning inside of me, so that's cooking the whole way that we're going it there.
Sure.
Nice.
You guys eventually make your way back to
Yeah.
the ship.
Mhm.
You can tell that N wants to speak, but N also very much understands that you're waiting for Stalbor to be there, which is a really bad idea because, you know, Stalbor is not actually here. So maybe the conversation should happen on the way back to the ship.
No, I don't want Stalbor to be there anyways. The Stalbor is more than Kyrann is prone to emotional acts.
Mhm.
And as frustrated as I am, I'm not gonna laugh.
I just don't want to, like, do it, like, in public with all the other fucking changelings.
Oh,
around.
you can do that on the multi-hour walk back to the ship in the woods.
Okay, fine. And,
After like the first hour of silence.
like,
Yes. Fully knowing what's coming on.
explain? Just explain. Just be honest. I don't have the patience for...
And
Why?
stops. Looks like down. Like not physically looking down, but like looks down. Glances around for a moment, sees a rock, like a boulder, and goes over and sits on it. And, like stays there silent.
I mean, I follow. Like, Kyrann, like, to, like, just describe it. Like, she doesn't seem angry. She just seems, like, concerned and sad.
Mm-hmm.
Bellum's gonna try to just like overhear this conversation, not like be a part of it.
Super not invested, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna listen.
Sits there quiet for like a solid minute. I don't know if Reich says anything. Kyrann, I know, is just gonna
Reich is just standing up, staring at him with daggers, just looming over him with just how big he is as a person. I'm furious right now.
Right,
'Cause
could you actually just give us, like, a minute?
No, I could not give you a minute.
Reich knew Luca at least longer, maybe better, or at least in different ways than you did, Kyrann. I wasn't lying when I said I became Nico at the fire. when the building was on the fire. That was plans. That was staged. That's when I was taking the spot of Nico. Something I'd spent my life preparing to be. It was the job.
I don't understand how you could have spent your life doing this. How young was Nico when he was taken?
Birth?
Did they kill a baby?
No. Though those first few years, I imagine, were very difficult.
So where is Nico now?
Looks up and looks you straight in the eyes.
I don't.
Nico never really existed, like, just...
Then, kind of like head slowly looking to look you in the eyes, says, "No, he still does."
I think it feels like he's saying he's Nico, but that literally makes zero sense.
Says, "Not every changeling parent has a changeling child. Sometimes two can be in the womb, and only one comes out."
So, are you Nico then?
So were you always Nico, or did you did take over for...
I had to take over the public persona of Nico, but I was always born with Deneth as half my blood, and the other half being...
So you left and you returned.
I left.
What he was saying.
I was taken as an infant, and then I returned on that day, which was plans. Not that way, but that was plans. And I wasn't lying when that was my parent and sibling in the chamber. None of you were there. Neither of you were there in the chamber. You didn't see what happens. You didn't see that I'd only known my brother face to face. I'd seen him. I'd watched him. I got the opportunity to see Luca from a distance, but I never had an opportunity to experience being Luca's brother, even if it was through this persona that was designed over the course of many years prior to my taking it. I never got to interact with Luca until then. And so when I realized that the person that raised me as a parent and the person that was my adoptive sibling then altered plans because of apparently they weren't receiving orders anymore, and so they kind of took it upon themselves to make a fame as airship captain or whatever it was they were trying to accomplish. I should have gone along with it. That's my job. But my decision was attack my brother to assist them or aid my brother in the fight. And so what did I do? The one that had raised me as a child was posing as you, Kyrann. I recognized immediately who it was, because how would I not know their tone? How would I not know the idiosyncrasies that make them who they are? And so I attacked you. Not you, but them disguised as you. You meant nothing to me at the time. It was easy. And I worked with my brother to defeat them. He was confused at first, and they tried to turn him on me, which was cute, but it didn't work. And when he almost died in the blasts, I pulled him out, because what else was I going to do? Sure, they had raised me, and they meant a lot to me, and it wasn't an easy decision. But the simple fact of the matter is I saw through their disguise because I knew who they were my whole life. But this was my actual brother. And then in the first short period of time I got to interact with him, I got to see him gain his mark. He wasn't just my brother. He wasn't just the name Deneth. He was Deneth. And it not only validated who he was in his family, but it also validated who I am. My bloodline could make that mark. That's So of course, yeah, I lied. Sorry. I lied to his face because him being angry at me at least kept him around me. At least he wasn't ashamed that his brother was a changeling. I get to fight at his side, serve on the same ship as him. You can't know what it's like, but the anger he gave towards me was feelings I was getting from him. I never had that before. Not from my family, not from any of my blood relatives, because my mother and father are still sitting, my mother is still sitting comfortable, because I'm not confusing this, right, Will? Dad's dead?
Correct.
My mother is still sitting comfortable in Korth, pretending to be a human, while my father, who gave us our Deneth bloodline, is dead. He's who I have. I mean, I don't hate my mother. You have to do what you have to do when you are one of us to survive. Her path was to pretend to be somebody else and fall in love and get a great life. Chose a different path for me. And then the path that I chose for myself was to try to be as open as possible and try to be as obvious as possible to who I was, to the one person that I could hope one day would accept me. But instead of having an opportunity to get that acceptance from my brother, he died. He died hating me, thinking that I had done something terrible. I suppose the terrible thing I did was never tell him the truth. I don't know. I know this might be hard to believe. Again, neither of you were there when that battle happened. But it was the most difficult decision I ever had to make. Help the person who raised me and my sibling kill my brother to keep their secret and become skyship pirates, or whatever their plan was, or aid my blood. I think I did what was right.
I mean, I'm just gonna hold Jer at that point. Like, I'm gonna.
Yeah, over the course of the as she's telling the story, the anger that I initially that you could obviously see on me was just deflated, and by the end, I just look at on him with such pity, not like a pity you feel for like something beneath you, but just like a pity of a person who's seen so much tragedy in their life. I sit there in kind of stunned silence.
It's one of those things where as soon as Kyrann hugs, it's like you can clearly feel that like stiff, like I don't want to be touched, don't touch me. But Kyrann obviously knows better, and so continues hugging. After like 10-15 seconds, just like melts into like a jelly pile. Like, like it's clearly one of those, like, this has been a secret that's been kept literally forever. Forever. And finally it comes out and unfortunately is something that can't be shared with the one person it was the most important to share it with. So, yeah.
After a few moments of silence, I say, before we left, when we found out that Kyrann was wanted by the other town, there was a choice, even for a moment, that we could have just left you and walked away. But your brother, Luca, he wouldn't accept that. I know that he was angry at you because he didn't understand. But he cared for you, Ed. He cared for you, Nico. I just kind of give him like, obviously not very good with like the emotional displays. I kind of like pat him on the shoulder and then sort of like stiffen up, like, like, yeah, Men, I'm gonna go punch a tree. But yeah, and then I just kind of step away for a moment to give them some time.
I'm sorry, ma'am. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Man,
That was
man,
perfect timing.
This is not a like just could talk about. Go back.
Just go back.
Yeah, just go back
Like,
and watch this
rewind
game.
the VOD, because you can live show rewinds now. Don't even. Moving on. So, and some time passes. You know what I mean? Before everybody like gets the strength to try to move forward, and then like as you guys start plotting forward, and then says, I need to get my mind off of this, or it's gonna eat me away. So, Bellum, probably catching Bellum off guard. I was
It's like eating a potato chip. Just like,
I was listening while you spoke to Kyrann because, you know, that's what I do. What did you mean?
what are you questioning?
You said that something was going on. I only heard parts of what you were saying back on the mainland.
Yes. Well, he like goes like bite his tongue. He's like, it seems as though parts of House Deneath were doing their best to round up gnolls and murder them.
Oh, we discovered parts of that when we were at Great.
What?
They had some fort they were working out of, and they were rounding them up as much as they could and just killing them, executing them.
Well, then they were doing the world a service.
Well, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Gnolls are disgusting creatures, and they commit acts of violence without prompt.
Right, you don't smell great either, but we keep you around, so...
Kyrann, do you still have that translation?
Yeah, it's back on the ship. We didn't want to bring it with us.
I honestly memorized it because that was one of my tasks I had to do as you know, Nico before. So, I do know it. I just seeing if you had it written down to confirm.
Yeah, not on me.
One of the parts that you had translated was blood-covered pelts make them hard to find.
Uh-huh.
I
mean, yeah, I would give Bella like a copy of it as soon as we got the chance.
Yeah, when you guys got back to the ship,
Yep.
of course, but with it not being there at the moment.
What of
Pelts make sense for...
I mean, yeah, I guess gnolls have pelts, but what about making them hard to find?
Making what hard to find? But, well, blood-covered pelt sounds like abused or it could be abused or murdered kobolds. Gnolls. But, I don't know what it is that they're trying to hide. Something that'd be hard to find. I don't know.
I mean, if only we had a person who was good at finding things here.
But we don't even know what we're looking for, so even if he could utilize his special brand of finding stuff, we need to know what he's looking for before I'm sharing.
Oh, but Bellum,
Yes.
is there anything about gnolls that would make them difficult to track? And that your mark is unable to find, perhaps? Like, what is difficult?
Would there be, Scott? I don't think so, right?
I'm sorry?
Anything about gnolls that is difficult to find or that would stop me from being able to track them with my mark?
I don't believe so. No, not whatsoever.
Yeah, I bet no. Not that I know of.
We might have
scarcely
to...
think he would need his mark. He just needs to stand downwind from him, and he can find them anywhere.
Well,
Like a breeze comes by and he's actually downwind from Reich and he like takes 2 steps over so he stops smelling Reich.
Reich is very clean. He's probably cleaner than all of you people.
yeah, but you're still a hobgoblin.
Why not? Like, how clean is the cleanest hobgoblin?
Very clean.
Wait, the word mongrels comes to mind. Doesn't mongrel mean dog?
Yeah.
There's literally a phrase in there that says, many have hands in the pot while the mongrels boil.
Yeah.
That actually is another hint that would tie in, kind of confirming that the gnolls might actually be a central part of this.
Right, the gnolls are probably definitely a part of it, but to what end we don't know.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately that would have been an answer we could have discovered when you were still over by Grey Wall, but we are on the opposite end of the continent from there, and a huge nasty storm between us and them, or at least, you know, checkpoints through the Roar Holds.
Like me there anyways.
Kyrann, nobody likes you anywhere. Nobody
know,
even
it's a
likes you
problem.
here.
That's not true. You love me and you know it.
I haven't loved very much. You're not included in that.
Well, I don't like you either, Bella.
I didn't say I don't like you, but fine. Let it be known.
I think you people have some weird issues. Just
Oh,
be quiet.
compared to what?
Did a
Compared to
gnoll
what?
bite you once,
Your
right?
daddy goblin issues and your fucking weird gnoll racism?
Yeah, did a gnoll bite you? Like, why are you...
no
why do you
rate.
hate gnoll?
Well, other than the fact that they consistently raid and kill hobgoblins for no other reason than whatever sadistic pleasure provides them,
Kyrann,
I find them to be just generally disgusting creatures with
How
no
do you-
sense of honor.
How do you know that's not something Denise had put them up to?
Well, I don't. But frankly, it seems unlikely that Denith would have any reason to kill hobgoblins, given that hobgoblins are one of the largest subcontractors for labor.
He
to be
looks
fair,
back
to be fair
Kieran.
to Reich, this is all probably Denith's hand in this, and all of this stuff is probably relatively recent. So, to be fair to Reich, his opinions are probably founded in what he understands of the gnolls prior to Denith having their
Thousands
hand
of
in this,
years
because he's older than this plot seems to be, which just means that Reich is a racist.
Mhm.
Right.
To Rick's credit, he's
To
just
Reich's
racist.
credit,
Rex credit, he's
he's
just
a
easy to
racist.
It's easy to call someone racist when you have not experienced the race that the race. And to be frank, we've had one confrontation with gnolls, and it was them attempting to murder us for no other reason than they wanted to.
Yeah, and then we put their heads on a spike and marched it across the land.
It stopped. It is the way that you treat animals. When an animal acts out, you use
So,
it.
and what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say to you, what's your plan? Your plan was to come here and to gather the principalities behind a surge back against the houses. I understand that, but I kind of had lost my. When we went to go meet with Kel, I had this foreboding because of. So I wasn't the aide that you were asking me to be. I think we need to speak more to Kel. I think you need to convince him that he should aid you in your plan to fight back against the houses.
The problem is we don't have much of a plan yet. We can't have a plan until we know how.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to
course.
have the plan set to have him stand behind it.
Let me talk to Kel alone.
These are people that are desperate, and more or less their decision. My people have been, hunted. Like, I don't think any race in all of Corvair understands racism quite the way that my people do, because we can't. Nobody accepts us anywhere. Not even our forebears accept us because we're watered down bloods of theirs, right? Nobody accepts us. And so we're always in survival mode. It's coded to us. We can't go a moment without trying to find out what the next thing we need to do is to survive. It's changing life. So when you come to him saying you need him to stand behind the plan, saying this is the greatest chance you have for survival for you and your community, for your people. Because in his mind, he's saying, I could help you and do this, or we can just kind of like figure out our own thing here as an isolationist, tiny little community, in hopes that will work.
Right. Do you think you can convey that?
I believe so.
Convince them that weathering the storm isn't enough. Tell them that we want them to have a home here. Tell them that we want them to have a place.
Kyrann, scare the shit out of him. He's not like he's a brilliant man in what he's been able to accomplish, but it's not exactly like he's a brilliant swordsman. I mean, it's not exactly like he's somebody that.
You think I should attack him?
I honestly think you should bring the fear of the storm to him. If that means attack, I mean, well, that is the very Kyrann thing to do, but maybe not necessarily attack him. But Kyrann it up, because what is more when you are the most devastating, when you're the most destructive, right? That is what they fear of all Lyrandar. That is what everybody that lives in the Principalities fears of Lyrandar, is what you just do for fun. Because whether or not you like it, you are a perfect example of what everybody hates of Lyrandar. Show them why you're horrible and why they need to help you to stop you or your people.
Well, when you put it like that.
The easiest way to do that would to bring the body of that to their feet.
I'm just going to destroy a building, I think. I think I'm just going to blow up a
Hold
building
on,
and then...
Hold on.
No, I like this plan.
Hold on.
Before we jump to the plan that involves blowing shit up, I have a plan that still involves you blowing something up, but let me talk to him first. If you let me talk to him first, I can plan.
Talk to him after. I put the fear down, and then you come in afterwards. And
fear, it motivates someone only so far. Give me a chance to give him hope.
Which is why we're offering to be allies. But look what happened to Ed. I was very mean to Ed at first. I threatened to, I think, tie her to my ship and let the fishes eat her for days before killing her. And then we became friends.
Instead of doing that, we could use a little bit of diplomacy. You could let me speak to him. I'll plant a seed in his mind, something subtle.
Intimidation now, diplomacy later.
Whatever tactic you use, and please, I'm only here to give advice. This is your plan. Whatever tactic you use, understands that Kel, his brilliance is his manipulation. That whole time that you were speaking to him, he wasn't showing his whole persona. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he first ordered for a ton of people to be back at the cave at our ship and to have already taken our ship over and have everybody probably not dead, but could be dead. I wouldn't be surprised if poor Stalbor is fighting for his life right now, because that's how he would do things. He would order to have the upper hand in a conversation before he engaged in that conversation. That's why it took so long for us to speak with him, despite the fact that he already knew we were there long beforehand.
We're not going to out-manipulate him, Mike.
Probably not
intending to out-manipulate him. If you listened for 10 seconds
diplomacy
to my plan...
is just fancy manipulation.
No, there's not, Kyrann. There's not just two options. There's not just diplomacy and intimidation. When you... Maybe
deception too.
You're just as bad as Luca.
We cannot out-manipulate him, yes. But what we can do is give him a reason to hope, and then show him why there's no other option.
We've already done that, Reich. We went in with our best foot forward. Right, that's exactly what we just did.
Fine, then just go right to blowing shit up. You're going to do it anyways.
Kyrann, I will say this. Right now, we were kind of excited to blow up a building. You had specifically asked Reich to be your ambassador.
I know, that's fine. Just do it, I guess. That's far more interesting than blowing a building up. Carry on.
You know what, Kyrann? Do whatever you're going to do. It is obvious you don't want to listen to wisdom, and I have no intention of giving you on displaying it anymore. So go ahead and blow whatever you want up.
I don't know what wisdom you're talking about, because every idea you've had today has been terrible.
So this is when N actually steps aside with Bellum and says, "I don't understand. Why do you stay?" As they bicker, we're just going to assume bickering. I don't understand why you stay.
Listen, Miko,
we literally.
I need to control this.
we literally got when you say that there's like a stutter. Like we literally got it to where both of them are saying no, you go, no, you go, and now both of them are saying no, I don't want to go, no, I don't want to go, and now both are saying no, you go. Like it's just back and forth. It's like they both can't go the same direction, so one of them goes. It's always this way or this way. How do you?
Controlled chaos is better than the rampant chaos. And I look at Kyrann, and then I look over at Reich. Perhaps he should plant the seed before you destroy the ship.
What ship are we destroying?
Exactly. Reich, talk to the man first. Kyrann, after he talks, do what you will.
I love how that's how he pointed out you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
So Reich, how do you feel to that? Are you still?
I'll shake nod my head and I'll say, and while I'm speaking to him, you find the best thing to blow up.
There you go. Teamwork.
Something that will scare him, but preferably not something that will do a whole lot of damage.
You go be nice. You go blow something up. Teamwork. Let's go. Bell him for president.
Everyone will be happy.
Oh,
I am
jeez.
not a crook.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, then I would like to set up a meeting where I can talk to Kel. Excuse me, privately.
And would say, let's turn around.
All right. So then I'm gonna go back.
Okay. And would tell you that the easiest way to speak with Kel is to just go to Kel directly.
Yeah.
He's gonna know you're coming before you get there.
How does your the society here work? What is Kel's position? I understand he's not a despot, but where does he draw his power from? Is he democratically elected, or do people just respect him?
Oh, that's cute. No and yes.
That's why I asked. I don't understand your society.
Honestly, it's too hard to explain. There are no laws in my home. There's just an understanding. For instance, there's no law not to steal. However, it's understood if you stole, bad things are going to happen to you, and so people don't. Because why are you going to hurt others that have just been trying to struggle as well? Nobody put him in his position of power. They followed him because they felt as though he was powerful. He doesn't take anything because he doesn't need anything. It's just, honestly, the bigger question would be, how is society going to be after he's gone? Many of us have asked, how old is he? That's one thing that we are able to hide even from our own kind, our age.
Well, if we're successful, perhaps a new society can be built before he passes. But who knows?
Hey, listen, some people, rumors on the streets of that very city are that he already did pass. That this is the third or fourth iteration of Kel, and you know, they're just fakes living on the legacy. I honestly couldn't tell you one way or the other.
This place is fucked up.
It must really suck living here.
Just kind of like leaves it alone. Leaves it alone, and then we'll say, you know, I wasn't entirely raised here, right?
I know that you weren't. I understand that.
Like this was my home, but I was raised in the Principalities, and when somebody says that they're raised in the Principalities as opposed to raised in Regalport, it means they were raised in the Principalities, usually on a ship, usually many different locations, no harbor you really call home. This was home, but it's not my home. My home is on the deck of a ship.
I understand. I more meant it as a measure of exasperation than any real commentary. I have to say, I have a lot of respect for you. It mustn't have been easy sticking around after Luca passed.
I'm glad you see that as bravery or courage or whatever you're thinking it as. But where else was I going to go?
I shrugged to that.
And then was just kind of like raw, like sadness, like just my life is sad, like,
Thanks.
Saturday.
Yeah.
Brought down the mood twice.
Right, yeah.
Sounds like he and Stalbar just need to hang out.
Yeah,
Oh,
apparently.
I don't know.
Then the you guys make your way to the back into the city where you press on to Kel and nobody else does. Unless actually Bellum, do you go with Reich?
Given how people looked at me for having the dragon mark, probably not. I'll probably stay with Kyrann.
I would
Those
insist
two
on that.
freaks with the dragon marks are doing
you
something.
can help me pick out a building. I really think we should just destroy his home, like the one behind him.
I want you.
I feel like
want
that
you
would send the
guys to-
best message.
Yeah. While I'm doing this, I want you guys
just
to go out and
shrugs.
just be sketchy. Just be seen by people.
You want me to
people
be
nervous.
sketchy?
Just make people
I can
nervous.
be sketchy.
And then once I'm done with Kel, make your move.
Okay.
N is going to be in N's form. Okay.
I'm going to actually inquire about finding something here that might help me understand languages.
Okay. So,
At this
Actually,
point,
isn't a bad place to find it.
I know. That's why I'm like, you know.
awesome. Eric. You go approach Kel's house.
Well, I go and knock on the door.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Piece of chocolate in my teeth. So, so you knock on the door. Moments later, the door opens up. Kel sees it's you. Steps outside of the house and shuts the door. Like, oh, I'll speak to you outside.
I nod and I say, "Do you have a few minutes? I'd like to talk to you in private."
Anything that you have to say is going to be public.
I shrug and I sit down kind of on the stoop, pull from my bag the probably a quarter bottle of whiskey, and I pour a drink for myself and offer him a drink if he'll take it.
Absolutely, he does. Reminder, his home, it's not like it's a nice house. It's like it looks like it would be a house that's not a shithole in the slums. But it's not a nice house. It's just not a shithole. Okay? So, you offer him a drink. He'll actually take it from you. He'll look to see what it is first, but he
It's
will
whiskey.
drink it. It's whiskey. Gotcha.
And when I see he just kind of sloshes around, I'll actually like handle the bottle so he can look at it. It's actually pretty nice whiskey. It's the whiskey I got for my birthday forever ago.
Yeah, isn't it hobgoblin whiskey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he will drink that, and after he takes like a long draw, from the glass that you had poured him, he says.
By the way, I will sip it first so he sees.
Oh
like,
yeah. It's funny that you go over the top because he's like not even watching that, but you're being very obvious. So after he takes a long draw and like kind of like plays with the flavor in his mouth for a moment, obviously he's, you letting him try it. He says, I've always respected the strict rigidness of the Dakani people. They had so much structure to them. Everyone knew who they were, what place they belonged in. Their society was so rigidly structured and so great that they took an entire continent and made it bend to their will and held it for a very, very, very long time. There was no corner they didn't dig deep into shedding light into. There was no area that they were too afraid to overcome, no challenge they hid from. They were very proudly out in the sun, in the open, for all to see. Then you look at my people and how juxtaposed they are, and how there is no beam of light, no matter how dim it might be, that we won't curl away from, that we won't hide from, just to not be seen, even in that dim light. And how we have literally no feet to stand anywhere, no holdings anywhere. Well, I suppose until here. And then even this is threatened, because you can't have nice things. I always respected the hobgoblin people, even in their demise with however that came to pass. You know, I've heard things, but you never know what the past stories change. Word of mouth and text is written by those that want to tell the story they want heard. Even then, still are able, against all odds, to carve out your own empire against a mess of other people and own a plot of land 3.5 years now in actual law of the land contract. It's yours. You have it. And if you chose to build up and push forward, could potentially take it back. I don't know if it's still the fire in your blood, but you have that opportunity if you wanted it. War isn't the best option, but progress and forward movement in general are for your people. I just wanted to say that because I've never had an opportunity to really speak to one of you face to face.
I have a smile on my face as he says that, and I say, I couldn't agree with you more. Do you want to know one of the main reasons that the hobgoblins fell? They were broken by an enemy from the outside, but what really truly shattered the empire was the fact that instead of coinciding or cohabitating the world with the other races, they enslaved them. And slavery is a temporary situation. Those in bondage will always break free. I am a lesser noble of my people. Probably the equivalent of an earl or another lesser nobility in one of these other houses. But the fact is that based off of I am directly descended from one of the only known direct descendants of a person from the Dakani Empire. Not just any person, a well-respected member of the Dakani Empire. My blood gives me a right to lead my people, and I will lead my people. Come hell or high water, I will take my kingdom. But I do not intend to just take my kingdom back. I do not want an empire. I do not wish to rule the world through blood and war. My people have died far too much for such little gain. When I was young, as I studied the Dakani Empire, another landmass interested me far more. The gnomes got their kingdom by signing a piece of paper. No gnomish blood was spent to take that place, but they just signed a treaty, and they had a home. I wish to change the way that hobgoblins do business with the outside world, but more importantly, I wish to change the world in a meaningful way. Now, the reason I come to you and mention this is I see the way your people are treated, and frankly, it disgusts me. I have known only one changeling in my time. Only truly known one changeling in my time, and he has been one of the best men I've met. And I can understand and respect the fact that you and your friends are just trying to survive. But survival is not what mortal life is meant for. Survival is incidental. You deserve a life. And the reason I've come here is I wanted to propose to you that me, Kyrann, our friend Bellum, and our other companion Stalbor have all come here to break the hold that Lhazaar has on the Principalities. We've come to shatter it because we truly believe that you deserve to not only survive but to live. And when we break that, I will be going to the more holds And I don't go there for a library book, as Kyrann so indelicately put. I'm looking for my to find something that is my birthright. And when I find it, I'll return home and I'll take what's mine. And with the power of my nation, I will. I intend to change the way the world sees people like us. People who are different from the fairer races, as they refer to them. I would very much like to make an alliance with your people. I know that me sitting a young hobgoblin on on your steps with a bottle of whiskey in hand, this doesn't seem like much of a declaration. But I wanted you to know that when I'm done, you'll have a powerful ally. And I just wanted to come here and share our first of many drinks that we will. And I pour another small dollop for each of us, and I say, to future victories.
He doesn't clink or agree to that. He does take the draw. Once again, same amount of time as before, thinks for a second, and then says, when you live your life, you generally see things from your own perspective, and so it makes it a little difficult to see it from others. You only can see the world through your own eyes, no matter how hard it is you try to see it through others. And from my perspective has been, it's my people have a hard time trying to find their place in the world. They seem to be born into bodies that aren't their own, bodies that they shouldn't have, or so society believes. And we get kind of cornered into ways that we're supposed to live and things that we're supposed to do, even if that's not the things that we're passionate about, or whatever the case may be. I say this because I forget that that's not only true for my people. There are others that are born into bodies that don't make sense, that are born with ideas and lives that are out of the norm, things that you can try to correct. You have a sword of incredible craftsmanship, I can tell by the hilt and handle and guard on your back. You have strong shoulders and a posture that says that to engage with you in combat would be a foolish thing, to say the least, that I would lose many people to try to bring you down had I given the order for them to do so. But despite the way that you look and the body that you were born into, you have the mind of what your people believe to be the mind of a woman. You have the mind of a diplomat. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in your society, the words that you spoke, you're not supposed to. The ideas that you have are not meant to be yours. The mission that you seem to quest for is something that should be done by another.
Well, I find when you let other people make your destiny, you find only disappointment. I care very little for what my people have seen in the past as womanly duties. I care only for the future of my people. And if in my work I shatter the way that people see the world, then that's only will do us more good. I can only imagine the number of young hobgoblin men who have spent their whole life wishing that they could find a diplomatic solution, but allowing the bonds of our society to whisk them away to an early grave as a warrior, and the number of women trapped in duties as diplomats and as healers when they could have been the greatest warriors we would ever known. I care very little for roles society pushes on us. What I care for is my people.
This is the plight of my people, which is why I brought it to your perspective. Why I was inspired by your perspective, because I forgot that it does exist in other cultures as well.
I shake my head and then I say, I'll be frank with you. It's easy to forget there are others who share your plight. We traveled for a short period of time through, God, Droiam, a place known as a nation of monsters. But when we rode through, we were met with the most deadly group of people that were there were humans. Humans that were sent there by House Tanith. It's so easy to take the lessons you learn from others' perspectives and to forget that perhaps those perspectives have been poisoned. What I mean by this is I'm glad I came here. I'm glad I met with your people. And I look forward to hopefully a greater understanding of your society.
Please. I wouldn't want to see something bad happen to somebody who's seemingly not deserving of it, though I'm sure at times you have been. If you meet a member of my race, don't assume they're open-minded, understanding, and willing to have a pleasant conversation with you. Assume the worst, but try for better, because that person isn't that way because they're born that way in the sense that that's all we can be. However, much like any knife pressed to a spinning stone, it gets hones the way that the hands hones it. And consider that stone society, and consider that hands, well, assumption. And, well, they probably are going to be just as deadly as any blade is fresh off the wheel. So, again, you treat it with delicacy, with care, handle it well. Any one of those situations.
I nod in understanding of what he's saying, and I say, and at that I'll finish the rest of the bottle into both of our glasses, and drink up the rest of it, placing the empty bottle back into my bag, and kind of standing up, obviously, kind of pushing towards the end of the conversation. I say, well, I won't keep you any longer. I understand you probably have some other things to attend to. I just wanted to talk. Hopefully we'll be able to speak again sometime soon. Have a good night. And then, unless he says anything, I'm going to head out.
It's a pleasantry like, the pleasure of our meeting is all mine. As I've said, I've never had the opportunity to speak to one of your kin face to face. To have that first opportunity be somebody of prominence seems as though destiny is smiling upon me and mine. Perhaps the traveler is in fact keeping things interesting. And with that, you kind of like turn and walk away. I honestly wasn't reading chat. I know there was a bunch of chitter chatter going on. I was skimming
It's
bits.
mostly Aaron
So
talking
I'm kind of
shit.
afraid.
No. Bellum and I actually have a plan.
Okay.
Right. We're waiting basically to hear back from Reich though before we do it. Yeah.
No. We're on the flying carpet already. We're waiting to see Reich exit the building.
Oh, remember, he never went in the building. He was just kind of sitting on a stoop.
Waiting to see him walk away.
Yeah.
All right.
Because the important thing that you kind of pick up is these important conversations, at the very least with you outsiders, are very public. So if anybody wants to stop and listen, they can.
All right. So we're on the flying carpet. We're listening.
Wait until I'm like 50 feet away, so when you blow it up, it'll be like in the background, so I don't have to look at the explosion as I walk away.
No, you have to make a dexterity save or be thrown on your ass. Face, walking away.
Are we doing it? Are we doing it now, Bellum?
Yeah.
Got your bow ready?
Yeah.
Oh God!
All right. Storm sphere out of the building. Top of the building, because I don't know if people are inside. So like I want to be robust.
Click.
So let me cast
Guessed it.
in case people forget what it is.
Mm-hmm. We'll just do it like this.
Goodbye, building. Goodbye, house.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Erin, do me a favor, because I'm going to let you rain destruction on this thing. I want you to describe the destruction as Reich is walking. How far away do you let Reich get, and how
50 feet.
horribly do you rain destruction upon it?
Yeah, we'll say like 50 feet, like a round and a half. I let loose on this thing, but I try to leave the foundation intact. And I do it some way. If there are people inside, they could probably get out in time because I'm being nice about it.
You're like Fortniting it. You're like starting from the roof and destroying the house all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. As nice as you can be while destroying a building. Just this massive cloud just appears from nowhere, and it is roiling with thunder, and it just comes crashing down. And I'm gonna throw some lightning bolts in there as well. So you're talking about 2 lightning bolts every single round. That's 2 lightning bolts every 6 seconds.
Jesus.
For people who are watching, which would be like a destructive natural force, like if something were to happen.
Will you like do the lightning bolts like randomly to the sky, help destroy that house, try to hurt other houses nearby?
No, we're just gonna like obliterate this one into the ground so it no longer exists.
So you do not harm any other houses, literally just destroy the
just a
his
pinpoint.
building.
Yeah.
Yep.
Force of destruction, because this is a symbol, and there's a show of force.
Okay.
Should make a
Like
children's book.
obviously, I could do this in other houses, but I'm not. We're destroying this one particular plot of land.
It's like the bolts of lightning are even like
to show you
grazing
just
by other houses, but not even singeing them.
How vulnerable you are.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Because like I said, these houses aren't built well. So
Yeah.
it's funny you had said not destroy the foundation. It's funny that you assume there is one. You know, some of them do, but not all of them. You know. So okay. So utter devastation. People run because not everybody here is trained combatants. Some of them are. But you know, not every changeling is. You know, many of them just kind of live their lives as paupers, right? So you or pickpockets. So you do this destruction and everybody freaks the fuck out and runs. Even Kel himself moves quickly from the building, but it's one of those like jogs back a couple steps and then like turns and kind of like very quickly analyzes and realizes what's happened. I mean, literally a couple steps, like 8-9 steps, kind of looks back, realizes what's happening, and then like slows down, turns around, and even like takes several more steps backwards, watching as just the winds are ripping through and slowly then completely peeling off planks, and those are kind of like whipping around the house, and just everything's being torn up and thrown apart. Sometimes like a chunk will go flying off to the side and clatter on the ground elsewhere. But for the most part, everything's pretty much contained in this destructive force. And you know, takes probably stops the total of maybe like 30-40 feet away from the building. And so of course I think even outside technically of lightning bolt space if it wanted to be. Where is it? Oh no, technically within range of a lightning bolt if that was what you wanted to do. Do you potentially even like have one like shock by his feet?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a shock over right by him to show, and then maybe even behind him to show that he's definitely within range. And he's watching this thing. While watching it, and it was like awe for like the first, say, 15 seconds or so after the walking away, the turnaround and all that stuff. So you're probably like 4 rounds in, 5 rounds in. Eventually kind of like starts looking around, and will eventually spot the flying carpet, because it's a big fucking flying carpet up in the sky.
I'll jump down at that point.
So when you see him look up at the carpet, you're kind of like looking down, you make eye contact, and you literally just step off the carpet.
Yep.
And you allow yourself to just kind of, you know, float down to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's looking at you. He's a very controlled person. So, like, generally speaking, if there's emotion being shown, it is intentional emotion being shown. And so because of that, you are intentionally seeing zero emotion whatsoever. Literally looking at you with no expression. Just looking you dead in the eyes.
I am one
and turns 100% to look you
member
on.
of Lyrandar. If they so choose, you will not have a home. I am here to help you.
You start to hear,
And
as
you
you're saying that
will-
you will not have a home, you actually hear, like, not interrupting you, but,
Yeah.
Killer! Hey, what's this? Oh, it's the land! Like, you start to hear, like, little shouts as people kind of, like, starting to form up to see what's going on. Little shouts in the background and, like, people kind of saying their aggravation. But continue with your speech. Go ahead.
I am here to help you. I am here to stop the storms. I am here to remove Lyrandar from the Principalities. And you will either help me, or you will be destroyed. If not by my hand, by theirs.
You think you could destroy all of us? You yourself could destroy all of us?
I think I could wipe out a good fucking portion, but honestly, I won't have to. You are going to be destroyed. You are going to be starved out. You are all going to die. A very slow death. So let me help you.
Once again, shouts and screams and all that stuff happening go around him.
Mm-hmm. I didn't hurt anyone this time.
Leave.
My house will not be so nice.
Leave.
I will leave for now.
How do you, what's your exit?
I walk away.
You, like, just no flying or anything like that? You walk? So is it one of those,
Not
because
yet.
you're facing each other, you, like walk past
As soon as I start
him
flying,
or Jim?
the storm's gonna stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I walk a little bit and then I'll cast fly.
Okay, so you, like, just kind of, do you, like, walk towards him? Or
Yeah.
away from him, perpendicular?
I
How do
walk
you-
towards him, like I just pass him.
Yep, so you walk past him as, like, the storm starts to slowly kind of die down. You just end it as you then, take to the skies. So, like, literally sitting opposite each other. You walk towards, past, he still no expression, or she still no expression, but never breaks eye contact whatsoever. It's a very controlled lack of expression. You get a handful of steps past Jim and just, like, take a step into the air and fly off. Easily, I almost said Luca, that's funny. Easily Bellum can swoop by and kind of, like, grab you onto the carpet. You don't need it for short term, but certainly for long term it's helpful. Reich, of course, was nearby. And so Reich, of course, would be like, I don't even know if I want to witness this. Reich, do you stay and watch that? Or
No.
do you, like, strategically get the fuck out?
I'm out of Dodge.
Bellum's got a pretty trained eye. He probably saw... excuse me. He probably saw you where you went as, like, while kind of watching this, keeping an eye on you, and will pick you up as well. And, of course, N is already on the carpet. The carpet comfortably holds 4 people.
You want to pick me up?
Right. Yep.
And so, since
You
you're
want-
already
you
on the
wanna pick me
carpet
up?
anyways, might as well take the carpet back to the cave where everybody is. Excuse
Yep.
me. I'm so sorry. I need water. Ugh. Sorry about that. So, when you get back to the cave, where again everybody is, as you approach it, getting there quicker than. I'm so sorry. I might cut this portion out of the YouTube video.
No, leave
If
it
I
in.
don't, it's 'cause I got
Just
lazy.
Even the motions.
Yep. If I don't, it's 'cause I got lazy or forgot. We'll go with lazy. So you make your way to the cave, and as you get there much quicker than you would have when you left, because you're actually on the carpet and flying this time. Bellum, at least not yet, strikes me as the type that's going to be like, I have this carpet, let's always use this all the time. Maybe later on when you are comfortable with it, but now that you're already on it, you know,
No,
it's like,
exactly.
why get
He
off?
didn't want to be all like showy and flashy, like, look, I have a magic carpet when he first got there, but now that he's on it, it's like, what damage can it do now?
Yeah, like why?
We should have
Let's
Salvor
test its
cast
limits.
visibility on the carpet so it looks like we're all just like hovering.
Moving on.
I think it's cool.
Or puts like a knapsack, like a nylon thing around the entire all of you, and just casts it on like the big nylon
Right.
sack, so you're
I'm
all
just saying
invisible.
the carpet is a little bit ostentatious. Like we should just try to dial it back down a little bit.
So the carpet's ostentatious. It's all
I'm sorry.
standfly. It's all God mode, float through the air from Diablo 1. That makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Aaron's the gaudy police.
oh, so funny. Does invisibility spheres still exist in 5e? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten to a level where anybody would even want to have that. But let's
Yeah.
keep going. So you guys are soaring through the air and get back there. When you get back there, you actually notice there is a group of people that are moving away from the cave. A decent sized group of people moving away from the cave. 15, maybe? Yep, looks like 15. Moving away. Do you approach them? Like, because they're walking away. Do you approach them? Do you just fly over them? What do you do?
I think
should
we
see
know
who
what's
they
happening. So we
So-
know who they are,
Mhm.
right?
The
So what do you mean?
changelings.
They're changelings that were sent by Kel to hold our ship hostage,
Okay.
and our actions have prevented that. Hopefully, or everyone's dead. It's a toss-up.
Yeah.
I will.
We'll,
I
we'll
will-
find out,
I will
won't we?
take note to which direction they're going in case
Yeah.
we need to go kill them.
Because if
We
they,
can
they
catch up
killed
with
all
them.
our crew, then I don't think we should just like let that hang in the balance there.
Well, no, we can catch up to them. We're faster.
Okay, so let's go back to our peeps.
So you lands just outside the cave and are all able to like get down. It's kind of weird walking for a second. I was like, oh, that was weird. That's like y'all get sea legs now and you're used to it, but long distance flying on a carpet, that's like very strange to get off of, because like you step on the ground and the ground like sinks beneath your foot because like you're like, ah, oh no, I'm not falling, I'm okay. The only one that's probably not freaked out by it at first was Kyrann, because she's like, well, if I fall, I'm fine.
Right.
And so you go down the cave, and what you see down below is the crew is fine. They're all together, but they were clearly upset. Apparently what had happened was for the past few hours, for several hours, there were a whole bunch of changelings that were inside the cave, like those upper areas that kind of look down below the platforms and whatnot that I had described, and they had shown that they had with them magic wands. One of them showed that their magic wand can shoot a fireball and exploded it in a spot where it actually destroyed the sails of your ship and destroyed a ton of riggings and whatnot, making it so that the crew is now trying to replace those riggings and sails because those fuckers destroyed them. And everybody claimed to have fireballs and said, literally, you will all stay there and do nothing whatsoever. Otherwise, we will destroy your entire ship quicker than you can say, please don't destroy our entire ship. And they explicitly called for Stalbor by name and said, we expect you to be visible at all points in time. Don't think that you're going to be cute.
I don't think Stalbor ever thought he was going to be cute. I don't think that was a
Oh.
concern.
Maybe when he was a little boy, little stall boy, little stall boy.
Stall baby.
Stall baby.
Stall baby. Oh, I mean, when your name is Stall, I mean, you know you're gonna be a shitty person. Sorry.
Rip.
So, should we go liberate some changelings of one or potentially more fireball wands?
No, let them go. They made their point. We made ours.
In all fairness, that might be the only charge they had, and it was an empty threat.
Yeah, more than likely that was the situation, given the...
Wands usually recharge every day.
I don't know. I don't fucking use wands.
That's why I'm telling you.
Well, I would still argue that there's little point to doing that. At this point, it would just make us more... It would give them less of an incentive to be friends with us. We're hoping that these actions will galvanize them to work with us, not to push them further away.
Agreed. If they're on our side, we want them to be armed.
At the very least, he knew that it wasn't worth it to keep your crew hostage by the time you got back here. Whatever decisions were made, he would have given that word recently.
So now we wait to see if our plan worked.
Now,
I think something to note is we were discussing beforehand. He was saying he can't get word to peoples on the other side of the storm. But apparently he was able to get word to and from these people before we can get back here. If that's not magic, I mean, sure, the carpet was maybe moving slower than it usually is when you're on a lone bellum, but how many birds, for instance, could have delivered that message quicker than we would have noticed or gotten here? So at least magics work on this side of the storm and that side of the storm, but something's stopping in between.
Well, we have to fix our ship anyway, so let's work on that for now.
Yep.
While we wait.
That's one of those things where you're like, we have to fix our ship anyways, and you can actually see N very visibly slump as that's been something that you guys have been doing. Like, it's like I forgot for a minute that, oh fuck, we have to fix. N's like, all right, I'll get the. Who am I bringing with me to chop down some trees? Because we're gonna have to actually make supplies now.
Yeah.
And we will end the session with you guys kind of like, hi ho, it's off to work we go. And next session, my plan is to pick it up with kind of filling in poor Oliver as to what happened in the meanwhile, because he wasn't there for it, and to kind of like jump forward to ships ready. You know what I mean?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, plot.
Plot.
Yeah. Plot.
So,
See, things happened.
I like how Eric straight out said, if he's a changeling, that makes literally no sense. And then was like, oh, wait, no, I guess that could kind of make sense. Shit.
Yeah, I thought it was, I actually did think that he was a changeling from day one. When you said that he was my brother, I was like, oh, I think he's a changeling. I don't know how or why, but either
true.
my brother was replaced at day one, or...
No, he was
something
your
else.
brother. Your mother is a changeling.
I understand that now. I was saying,
Yeah, I gotcha.
what I thought beforehand was like from day one he was possibly my brother. Crazy this now.
Yeah. It just sucks because
I
like...
think I didn't kill him.
That'd have been awkward.
The way I would have handled that as a DM is just never answered the question. Unless you ask specific people the specific questions, you never would have known that is what you did. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where before, when you like, why would he have turned tail on those that he was working with before? Well, he already did prior to, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and the answers that he gave you were never fully false. They just omitted really important answers. The truly lying answers were, you know, where's Nico? He's still alive. Do you know where he is? I don't know. You know what I mean?
That was a big lie. Also,
big lie.
Technically it was a big lie to Bellum, but Bellum didn't perceive it as that. When he asked what his name was and why they call him N, because his name is Nico, obviously. But Bellum asked that, and he gave some other answer. But
he said N is a name that Kyrann likes to call me.
Well, no, but then I asked, like, so what should I call you? What is your actual name if you don't like N? And then he said something I forget right now, but...
Oh, that wasn't him that gave that answer.
That was persona.
The persona that gave the answer.
Yeah.
So every persona has an N name?
That seems to be the case.
God.
And it's probably something to do with my name's Nico and I can't have it, so I'm trying to stick with it as close as possible. You know what I mean? So it's
Bellum's calling him Nico from now on. So
it actually, yeah, that was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I will either always, I will definitely always refer to the character as N until Stalbor
calls him Nico.
refers to him as Nico. Because
Yeah,
Stalbor is
that's
now, even though Kyrann is technically the one that's the biggest link, Stalbor is like the Luca link that's heavy. You know what I mean? So I, as the DM, feel like respecting that. And even then, I might
I
still
wonder if
call him N.
Stalbor is gonna give N back the belt, the Denise heirloom. That's technically.
There's technically a bunch of
really
Denise
his all
heirlooms
along.
on this ship.
It was, but you know, it like you said, it was his all along, but gave it to Luca because it was like, hey brother,
Aww.
want to be my friend?
I blame Braylon.
Why?
I do too.
I mean,
Beholder.
because I can, right?
You
I
blame
have the right to do
Beholder.
that.
This is
Braylon?
America.
Breland.
Braylon. Why?
Braylon.
Oh, chat.
Yeah.
Not king, not the king. No.
I was like the country of Breland.
I blame them too. They know.
Well,
what
yeah.
they're doing.
I mean, there's something fishy happening.
As much as I want to get back at him sometimes, all I have to say is that I've been in some pretty tight spots on Dark Souls, and they've saved my ass pretty like. So I can't get mad at Breland because again he saves my ass in Dark Souls. So I'm like, yeah.
Scott can't be mad at you. But we can, Breland.
I
We
can't.
don't forget.
If Thursday sessions ever happen again, we'll see what happens to your character. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm actually, so this is funny because like when I was getting pumped about this reveal, that this reveal was going to happen, right? I was thinking to myself, it'd be so cool if N got to have that final like connection with Luca, but it's like just bringing Luca back to me, it just feels so. Like, I don't like it when in the comic books every fucking hero that dies comes back to life. Like, it bothers me so much. Like, for somebody to come back, it has to, like, in-game, in story-wise, be not just like, oh, it makes sense. Like, oh, it makes sense they brought him to the altar with, you know, the change. Like, it has to
have
be
meaning.
prominent. Yeah. It has to have significance to it. In that moment. You know what I mean? So, for that.
Who's my criminal contact?
What?
Talk about that later.
Who's my criminal
We should-
contact?
We should totally do the outro.
You
though,
not found
'cause
him
I
yet?
need to go to the bathroom really bad.
But
Kyrann had a background.
But
change.
we want to keep you know you around because it's fun to torture you.
I'll just leave. Nothing's holding me here.
All right, since he's not here, I will do it for him. You can find Oliver, the cast member that's not here, over on where's it? Ollie, there we go. Over on twitch.tv/Olirons, where he DMs his own D&D campaign Wednesday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, wherein I am actually one of the PCs playing my third character in that campaign as we're going into Chapter 3. Each chapter is designed to be its own story. Erin will eventually be joining that campaign. She was just kicked out because, ew, girl. It's a really cool game. It's cool characters, lots of fun. So go check that over there. He also like paints and does stupid shit. You know, the links are in chat. You can, yeah. If this is YouTube, yeah. Ollie, Erin, how can we find you?
I am Erin. I am Rinson. Thanks. I play with Ollie and Scott on D&D on Wednesdays and Fridays, and I'm super active in the Discord, where we do fun things. We played Cards Against Humanity last night, and that was super fun. And that's all. Goodbye.
Will?
You're such a jerk. You're making Eric go last. At Will Call Brewing, you could find me on Twitter, the Discord, Instagram. Where you could follow my story starting a brewery and hear about the beers that I drink and how awesome most of them are. Yeah, that's it.
I've decided I'm going to be a lot more active on Instagram, but we'll see how that goes.
If you want tips and tricks, I got you.
Of how to Instagram, you take
Yes.
pictures of things and you
No,
throw
it's not
hashtags
that
on
simple.
them, and
Not
then
that
they
simple.
they go to the ether. Eric,
I am Toonsize64 on the things. But instead of pimping out my stuff, I'm gonna take this time to tell you, don't sub to Scott, don't Patreon Scott. He's the worst. He's a terrible human. I hate him.
Why am I the worst?
See, and
But
because he was last.
you should really join the Discord where we're pretty active in the Discord. We usually shit talk each other, so it's a lot of fun, and you can come and shit talk us. Breland's still dead to me. I did talk to him in chat, but I want that to be known and on video. And yeah, join the community. And I'm just kidding. You should totally Patreon Scott, because then you can give me nice things.
Okay, so I was going to say, actually, so with the Patreon, since you brought it up, I'm going to be doing an announcement video within the next month, because I'm actually going to be doing an overhaul for a nifty new way that's going to be handled, but that doesn't matter. You can find me actually at dalerick.com or anything, just literally Google Dalerick and you'll see my face everywhere. Yay. So that's an easy way to find me. Before I say goodbye, all I want to say is elves don't sleep.
Oh God.
Ah,
I thought we got away
really?
with that. Come on.